612-6949, mnrealestateshow.com. That's 612-294-6949.
Jason DeRusha and Drive Time is next on News Talk 830 WCCO. 1029 HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Streaming live on the free Odyssey app.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Backfiring with yelling in the room. A Trump administration attempt to smooth over outrage of Republican senators today over President Trump's Justice Department fund set up to pay people claiming they were harmed by the government in the Biden years. It potentially could include rioters from January 6, 2021. A closed-door meeting today with Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche to get Republican support for a funding bill for ICE and other agencies fell apart, sources say, over the compensation fund. The meeting devolved into yelling, say several sources in the room to ABC News. Some vocal Trump supporters telling Blanche they believe they'd lose the Senate majority over the fund. They say the acting attorney general even tried to placate senators by saying they themselves can apply to receive money from the fund. That also backfired. ABC News White House correspondent Karin Travers.
According to sources, Republican outrage over the so-called anti-weaponization fund is complicating leadership efforts to advance the $70 billion immigration enforcement bill. People familiar with the negotiations confirmed to ABC News that some Republicans are considering including guardrails for the fund as they work on revisions to the bill.
On the Iran war, Secretary of State Marco Rubio today.
If we can get a good deal done, that would be great. I'm not here to tell you that it's going to happen for sure, but I'm here to tell you that we're going to do everything we can to see if we can get one.
A vote on a measure to force President Trump to end the Iran war is expected in the House today. A day after charges of murder and conspiracy were announced by the Justice Department against Cuba's former president, Raul Castro, Secretary Rubio is asked what happens next.
Well, I'm not going to talk about how we're going to get him here. If we were trying to get him here, why would I say to the media what our plans are about that? I know you have to ask, but why would I answer that?
The Russian Foreign Ministry has issued a statement in support of the Cuban government and against the U.S. embargo and threats. After going up and down, the major indexes on Wall Street close higher. You're listening to ABC News.
Minnesota's trusted voice every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 63 degrees at 3:02. I'm Laura Oakes. Top Trump administration officials back in town highlighting their latest efforts to fight fraud in the state.
The Department of Justice announcing it's uncovered massive systemic fraud targeting over $90 million in taxpayer funds across state-managed Medicaid programs, prompting the expansion of the healthcare fraud Midwest strike force to Minnesota. Today, historic criminal charges have been announced against 15 defendants. Assistant Attorney General for the National Fraud Enforcement Division, Colin McDonald.
My message to the Minnesota community and to all of America is this. If you see something that seems too good to be true, tell us.
He says the department is deploying 15 newly hired dedicated prosecutors to hotspot areas nationwide and continues to seek public assistance to locate remaining fugitives. In downtown Minneapolis, I'm Taylor Rivera. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison disputing federal claims today that the state failed to cooperate and help combat fraud. Ellison says that's not true. They regularly work alongside federal law enforcement in fraud investigations and have for many years. The federal prosecutor who initially spearheaded the massive Feeding Our Future fraud investigation says so-called ringleader Amy Bach got what she deserved in being sentenced to more than 41 years in prison.
Amy Bach did everything she could to earn it. The judge found what we all knew, which was that Feeding Our Future was entirely fraudulent. All the sites under its sponsorship were fraudulent. And she carried out the scheme every step of the way. That's
federal prosecutor and former acting U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Joe Thompson. Bach's attorney, Kenneth Udoy-Bach, says he plans to appeal.
The truth is, the road to justice is never short. This is the next phase.
Amy Bach has also been ordered to pay $243 million in restitution. At least 78 defendants have been charged in the scheme so far. As you just heard a couple of minutes ago, we have a new national news service here on WCCO Radio. After nearly 100 years of CBS News, we have switched to ABC.
For as long as WCCO Radio has been on the air, it's been CBS Radio News, a force to be reckoned with, according to longtime former reporter Bruce Hogovic, who recalled what it was like the first time he heard one of his reports on the network.
I think, oh my gosh, how did I get here doing this? I was a small town, rural kid, wind up doing that on CBS Radio.
CBS Radio executives made the decision to stop broadcasting because of a changing world and diminishing revenue. But former WCCO Radio morning show anchor Steve Murphy told Adam Carter it's still very relevant.
When news breaks, I think radio is still a leader. I'm a big fan and a big supporter of the medium, not just because I worked in it,
but the immediacy of it as well.
Susie Jones, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And WCCO News Time is 3:05.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Some slowing west 694 as you come in from Silver Lake Road toward 252, East 36 jamming up already, Cleveland Avenue to Lexington. The crosstown's looking a bit sluggish as we move both directions between Tracy Avenue and Cedar Avenue. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by Gutman Law, wills, trusts, and probate law at gutmanlaw.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The clouds will continue to fill in as we head through the night tonight. 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Showers tomorrow, but they should hold off. Dry by day with a high of 65. Scattered showers moving in by evening. Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high of 70. Then we warm up. 80 on Sunday, 85 on Memorial Day.
Mostly cloudy right now, 63 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Because you like your news fast and accurate, and your opinions honest and sharp. News Talk 830 WCCO. You're thinking about it. Jason's talking about it. There are no breaks on bold takes here. Buckle up. This is Drive Time with DeRusha. Tuned up and rolling thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington. Now, live from Minnesota's biggest microphone, here's Jason DeRusha.
Well, we did it. We flipped the switch to ABC News. It's really not that big of a deal, is it? We had news on the hour yesterday. We had news on the hour again today. Tomorrow we'll have news on the hour again. ABC, CBS. I don't know. Take a little getting used to hearing the different chime at the top of the hour. We'll talk about this a little more at the bottom of the hour. It's Jason. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. Dan is here. Laura is here, keeping you up to date. Man, there is so much going on in Minnesota today. I barely know where to start, but I do want to begin with a question about punishment. 41 years for Amy Bach, the ringleader of a fraud case that is so significant, I believe it has undermined trust in Minnesota government more than anything that has happened in my 20-plus years here in the Twin Cities. Do you trust anything coming out of government right now? I am more skeptical than ever. And a lot of it is because of Amy Bach. 41 years. 41 years feels like too much and not enough at the same time. Where are you on this punishment? Amy Bach, the ringleader of that Feeding Our Future massive fraud scheme, hundreds of millions of dollars that we caught, people who claimed they were feeding kids during the pandemic, and it turned out they were just feeding their own pocketbooks. 651-461-9226. Where are you at on 41 years? Because there has been some conversation that it's too much.
if you kill somebody in a drive-by shooting in Minnesota and it's your first offense, I looked this up today. The sentencing guideline for that first offense, drive-by shooting, I'll tell you, I mean, can you guys guess what it is? It's less than 41.5 years. I'll tell you that much. It's 25 and a half years. Drive-by murder is 41 years fair. I think it is. I think it is. And I think when you look at sentencing in general, this does expose sort of the folly of it, right? We don't line up crimes, and maybe we should. Man, think of how different things would be if we just lined up crimes based on like, all right, this took somebody's life, this was intentional, this was that. If you lined it all up, man, you'd probably have much more severe penalties for like drunk driving murders. To think a drive-by killing is 25 years and Amy Bach is 41 years. That sounds sort of ridiculous. But I think 41 years for Amy Bach is fair. And maybe it's not enough. Tom Petters was sentenced to 50 years in federal prison. Now, Petters' fraud was much larger, if you can believe it. It was a $3.65 billion Ponzi scheme. Bernie Madoff got 150 years. That was a $65 billion scheme. But to me, what Amy Bach did has been more damaging. It's been more damaging to people's trust in government, to people's trust in nonprofit, to skepticism about every agency that's out there doing good work. This one woman and this one scheme also has cost the state of Minnesota its reputation quite a bit. So from that perspective, 41 and a half years isn't enough. I think it's fair, and it's maybe too light. Sherry is in Coon Rapids, 651-461-9226. Sherry, where are you at on this? 41 years. It's a big number. She didn't kill anyone, and yet, for me, it feels about right. What do you think?
I have a strong opinion about this. She should have life without parole. She has touched in a negative way millions of people. For me, I am never going to trust another charity. I work too hard for my money. I do a lot of charity work, but I will never write another check because I don't know who I can trust anymore. And it's just not in Minnesota. She's opened up everyone questioning what charity really means in today's world. The truth is, I hope she has hard labor. She has damaged so many people. And then to use children as a way for her to advance her financial situation is just abhorrent. That's all I want to say. I think that's enough. She should never get out.
Sherry, thank you. Really appreciate that call. 651-461-9226. I mean, it's hard to argue with that, right? Sherry's saying it's not enough. 41 years is not enough. Texters. Maybe the penalty should be 1 year for every $1 million stolen from all of us. If you look at it that way, she's getting off easy. Another texter, she stole from children, not investors like Madoff. 41 years is not enough. Bach sparked a massive distrust of our state on a national level, permanently scarred the image of the Somali community for years to come. The impacts of what she did will be felt for decades and hurt our state economically. I agree 100% with that texter. Here yesterday is an attorney I respect a lot, Chris Maddle, who was a candidate for governor in Minnesota on the Republican side, but pulled out of the race because he said, he's like, I can't run as a Republican because the way that the Trump administration sent ICE agents into Minnesota, and not necessarily that sending ICE agents in here was wrong, but the way the ICE agents comported themselves was too much, and Maddle pulled out. Chad Hartman asked Chris about the fact that prosecutors were asking for 50 years for Amy Bach.
The average sentence for second-degree murder in Minnesota state sentencing guidelines recommend a sentence of 12 and a half years. And we're talking 50 years for a white-collar criminal. I mean, what is that going to do good for anybody?
It does go to what is the point of a prison term. And Andrew raises this on our YouTube stream at WCCO Radio. The fact we call it punishment is the problem. It should be about rehabilitation. It's called corrections for a reason. I think in this case, it is straight up punishment. It is screw you, Amy Bach. How dare you? How dare you have done this? How dare you lie about it? How dare you try to claim that you're the victim and that you didn't know? The judge today sort of laid it on her that not only did she do this to the bitter end, until today she refused to really take any sort of accountability for it. So I disagree with that. And we are punishing this way more than we would for second-degree murder or drive-by shooting. We are. I'm all right with that, but you might feel differently. Text and calls coming in. We'll hear more from you in just a minute. 651-461-9226. The most pivotal case of fraud in the history of the state of Minnesota, the biggest COVID-related fraud that's been discovered in the country. Is 41 years enough? Drive time back in just a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Today, I feel like a friend of mine is packing up because a friend of mine is. I talk about J.H. & Sons on this show all the time, and one of the things that I love about J.H. & Sons is the fact that you have a guy. You have a guy. When you go to J.H. & Sons, maybe your guy is Bryce, or maybe it's Chuck, or maybe it's Dean, or for me, it was Kevin. And today is Kevin's last day at jhsons.com. Now, I'm going to be fine. I got a team over there. You have a team when you go to J.H. & Sons. There is something special about finding a men's clothing store where they know your size, they know your arm length, they know everything about you. They know when you have special events in your life. They know when your kids are getting married. And they know what makes you look great. Experience that. Now, Kevin did a hell of a job at J.H. & Sons, and he's going to have amazing success as he moves off to Denver, Colorado. But know that Jeff Halberstadt and his team, they've got you covered. They've got you covered because everyone who works there becomes your guy or gal when it comes to premium men's clothing. Experience the difference. Get to that store at the Galleria in Edina, J.H. & Sons. You can check them out on their website, jhsons.com.
Man, I love this place. I've been surfing here since I was a kid. Now, seeing my grandson out on the water, it means everything to me. Watching him and taking in the blue waves, the sea breeze, the blurry horizon.
If you have geographic atrophy, or GA, subtle changes in vision could mean it's progressing toward irreversible vision loss. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression and could help preserve your vision for longer, so you may keep seeing the world around you. Izervay, or avacincaptad pegol, is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may cause blood in the white of the eye, blurred vision, or a temporary increase in eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Ask your retina specialist how you can slow your GA with Izervay. To learn more, call 1-855-IZERVAY or go to izervay.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
You know that feeling when your body is tired, but your brain just won't shut off? We've all been there. Jordana here. That's where CBN comes in. CBN, short for cannabinol, is a naturally occurring hemp cannabinoid known for its relaxing, sleepy effects. Think of it like the lights dimming signal for your brain. While CBD helps you stay calm, CBN helps your body know it's time to rest. That's why we call it CB Night Night. Mini Leaf Night and Night Plus Sleep Gummies combine CBN, CBD, and CBG to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, and then wake up feeling refreshed. Free shipping this month at minileaf.com, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Go to minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com, and tell them Jordana sent you.
Carpal tunnel syndrome, heart failure that doesn't improve with common medicines. These are some signs and symptoms associated with ATTR-CM, or the cardiomyopathy of ATTR amyloidosis, a serious heart condition with symptoms that get worse over time. Amvuttra, vutrisiran, is a prescription medicine given by a healthcare provider that treats ATTR-CM in adults to reduce heart-related death, hospital stays, and urgent visits. In a clinical study, Amvuttra was proven to help people live longer and have fewer heart-related hospital stays and urgent visits over 3 years compared to placebo. Amvuttra lowers the amount of vitamin A in your blood, which can affect vision. Other side effects include pain in the arms or legs, pain in the joints, and shortness of breath. These are not all the possible side effects of Amvuttra. For prescribing information, call 1-833-256-2748 or learn more at amvuttra.com. Ask your doctor about Amvuttra for ATTR-CM.
Jason DeRusha.
It's exciting and it's terrifying at the same time.
I know.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Someone pour me up a double shot of whiskey. They know me and Jack Daniels got a history. There's a party downtown near 5th Street. Everybody at the bar getting tips.
41 years, federal prison. Amy Bach, the ringleader of Feeding Our Future, she is going away. Well, she's 45? So she'll be locked up until she's 86 years old. Just before sentencing, she said, "I don't have the words to express how horrible I feel. I know I'm responsible." The Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, said she got the sentence she deserves. I'm wondering if she should have gotten more. If her sentence is not enough compared to what Tom Petter's got. Kevin is in Anoka, 651-461-9226. Kevin, too much or not enough?
I believe it's about right, but I do have a question, though.
Sure.
I want to know how many years all of the government bureaucrats are going to get who harassed, fired, and got retribution on whistleblowers for years. How many years is Ellison going to get for facilitating? And how many of the hundreds of families who took bribes and kickbacks to phony enroll their kids in autism and daycare programs? Every one of those hundreds of people should be prosecuted. And if they're not citizens and they're on their way to becoming citizens, they should be sent home.
What do you think, Kevin, about, in the Star Tribune this morning, excellent reporting by Jeff Meitrod talking about the number of politicians who sort of kind of put in a good word for whether it's Feeding Our Future or some of the other fraudsters. What do you think should happen with those guys? There was a couple of Republicans on the list. There were a lot of DFLers. What do you think?
There's a big difference between saying I support these guys and maybe they're being prosecuted, and like Ellison, who directly interfered in their prosecution. Do you know how long this has been going on? I lived at Lake Street in Portland back in 2000, and I worked for a guy who was a recent immigrant from South Africa. And when I asked him why there were so many daycare centers, he said, quote, "That's where the women get paid to watch their own children." In 2000.
Yeah, it's been going on a long time. I mean, thanks, Kevin. There was a report from an independent kind of ombudsman who said, look, as much as everyone wants to blame the Walz administration, there's been sort of a culture of a lack of accountability around this in Minnesota for a long time. We're going to talk a little bit more about that topic over the next couple hours. Jason, I'm an independent, but I've been increasingly worried over the last several decades with virtually 100% rule and no Republican representative for more than half a sentence. Just kind of worried about that. The state bears responsibility for letting it get so far. I think the sentence is too much. As much as I think that the state does have responsibility for what happened here, I do think that some of this reaction is over the top. That you think a politician who didn't stop it or whose bias was towards look, they're going to accuse us of racism if we come at them. To me, there's a difference between being a fraudster and being incompetent at your job. And I do think it's fair to say there are a hell of a lot of people in state government who failed at their job here. I am annoyed that none of those people, as far as we know, has been fired because of this. But to me, I don't know this idea that those guys all need to be handcuffed. I just think there's a difference in being incompetent or being uninterested or missing the boat. These politicians are saying that they were essentially defrauded too. They believed that what was happening was real and it wasn't. To me, that's incompetence. That's not criminality.
And I think that's a fair hair to split. And the fact that there's been zero accountability at the state level, that nobody has lost a job, that nobody has come out and said, this is how it happened. These are the people that approved it, and they're no longer working in their positions, I think drives a lot of people to think that this should be criminal.
Yeah.
And I think
you're right.
I think this is one of the biggest failures of the Walz administration was to not demonstrate very clearly from the outset of this thing, here's the accountability we're taking. Here are the people that are no longer going to be in their jobs because of this.
Yeah.
Allowed for this buildup of people then to be saying, well, no, they should all be thrown in jail. I think if you had come out and hit this in the beginning.
Agree. What a failure.
I mean, a large one,
truly
a serious one. And it's going to stain his legacy going forward as a governor for sure.
Yeah. As much as I think I have issues with the president of the United States, I do think if somebody starts messing with his agenda, his progress, he just dumps them. And for the life of me, I do not understand why the Walz administration never got rid of the head of the Department of Education. Would have been the easiest thing to do. It's like aren't these people ruthless enough? Don't you sacrifice someone when the heat starts to get
well,
to you?
and that's the pushback, right?
Obvious,
is that,
right?
Are we just scapegoating somebody? Is firing somebody really going to,
yes,
do
there's
anything moving forward?
significance in scapegoating.
I'm about to agree with you.
Okay, wait.
Let
me get excitable.
That's the pushback, right? And that's what they would say is, but here's now what we're seeing is the flip side. If you don't do that, if you don't say, look, this individual or these individuals may not be solely responsible for this, but they played a significant role and we're going to relieve them of their duties going forward. Now you get to where we are now, which is deeply, deeply worse than saying, X, Y, or Z person may have gotten scapegoated.
Texter says, I'm retired from law enforcement, so I'd probably be considered a cynical person. I believe if a person has not killed someone, they should not get a life sentence. They should get a sentence that gets the message across that their actions were wrong and the penalty deters others. 40 plus years is life in prison. It's interesting. I mean, I do think we have to get our arms around the fact that this is sheer retribution, that we're pissed at Amy Bach and this is what she's getting. Is it a just sentence in a theoretical Maybe not. Maybe it is too severe. I'm okay with a little retribution. You guys know I got a little bit of love in my heart, and I got a little bit of retribution in my heart as well. We're going to break in just a minute. Sort of an amazing story of two state senators, one Republican, one DFLer, who came together so much so during the session, working behind the scenes to get to a budget bill that in an article I read this week, they were called besties. What? We thought that was worth talking about, and we'll do it in 3 minutes here on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha, tuned up and rolling. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington.
Let's talk about Luther Kia of Bloomington. It's Jason here. I'm a Kia driver and a Luther Kia of Bloomington customer. I got to tell you, brand new facility just opened this week where 35W and 494 come together in Bloomington, and it is gorgeous. The brand new Luther Kia of Bloomington not only is a beautiful place to go and explore the more than 90 hybrid SUVs, EVs, plug-in hybrids that are available, and we're all paying a little more attention to our fuel mileage right now, aren't we? So it's a great place to shop for a new car, but it's an even better place to bring your Kia in for service. All the new service bays, it's comfortable, it's clean, it's got that new car showroom smell. You're going to love it. Don't drive down the road to that quick lube oil change place. Go to the dealer. It's the same price. I just went and got an oil change, got my Stinger, oil change, tires rotated, the whole bit. Luther Kia Bloomington's going to take care of you. Say hi to Dan Dingman. Tell him you heard DeRusha talk about him on CCO. And check out the new store, LutherKiaofBloomington.com.
Where Minnesota checks in.
Well, here's my problem. I want to say a couple things. Thanks so much for taking the call.
And chimes in.
Right, I agree with you.
Be careful what you ask for.
I don't usually 100% agree with you, but I do today.
It's your turn.
I'd like to know what it's costing to do this.
Add your voice to the mix.
I'm very jaded with all politicians in general. What an incredible failure of the legislature.
The CCO talk and text line, 651-461-9226.
Hey, you. Yeah, I'm talking to you. We got a show and it's Guys and Dolls at Chanhassen and Dinner Theaters. It's terrific and delicious because you got dinner and a show. Don't take my word. Everybody's loving it. The Pioneer Press called it a must-see. Star Tribune called it eye-popping and blazing with brilliance. I heard a lady from Eden Prairie say this is the best show she's ever seen at the Chan. Grab your doll or your guy. Get your family over here for Guys and Dolls. Visit ChanHassenDT.com.
Just because you don't want your neighbors to know you're moving just yet doesn't mean that you can't sell your home for top dollar. Hey, it's Vanita. My friends from the John Schuster Group with Coldwell Banker Realty can sell your home off market. The Good Neighbor Agent has a database with thousands of buyers looking for homes in the Twin Cities. John makes selling easy. Curious what your home is worth? JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions.
Mike Rowe here with a fun fact. Did you know that 50% of the air that you breathe inside your home comes from your crawl space? Yeah. Whether your crawl space is wet, musty, or your floors are bouncy, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to repair your crawl space. Innovative Basement Authority is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Staples presents That Was Easy.
So I was just at Staples. They're having a huge 40th anniversary sale.
40 years. Note to self. Send flowers.
Up to 50% off. Save on chairs, paper, balloons, and more.
Balloons?
Yeah, Party City is now at Staples.
Surprise!
But the anniversary sale is only 2 weeks, so...
Quick, celebrate 40 years of savings at Staples with up to 50% off. Shop chairs, paper, break room supplies, and more. 2 weeks only in 523.
That was easy.
Shop Staples in-store, online, or on the app.
It's Staples' 40th anniversary, and they've got deals worth celebrating. Now through May 23rd, enjoy up to 50% off. Save on paper, chairs, custom print, balloons, and more. 4 decades in business deserve some seriously smart savings. Staples, that was easy.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Crash working on University Avenue northbound near 69th Avenue. Traffic down to a single lane, squeezing by off to the left side with the traffic lanes blocked currently. Traffic is slow as make way through the area. Could be a while before things are cleared. 694 westbound, that's jammed up. 35W all right over to Highway 100. Highway 36 slows both directions between Rice Street and Snelling Avenue. 94 eastbound slows into downtown St. Paul's, move past Dale Street. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Washburn McCreevy invites you to a free seminar for pre-planning your funeral and cremation services to help protect your family in the future. Enjoy food, visit with speakers from the Hopkins Chapel Friday, May 22nd, 11:30 a.m. at Pizza Luce. Information at washburnmccreevy.com or 612-377-7841.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
CCO forecast brought to you by Washburn McCreevy Funeral, Cremation, and Pre-Planning Services. Here's our chief meteorologist, Chris Schaefer.
We stay dry tonight and for a good chunk of the day tomorrow, falling back to 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Mostly cloudy tomorrow. It will be raining across western Minnesota. I don't think the showers get to the metro until likely late afternoon into the evening. 65 will be the afternoon high. 70 with a mostly cloudy sky on Saturday. The sweetest days of the forecast, Sunday and Monday. Sunny with highs of 80 and 85.
In Woodbury, it is 66 degrees here on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
It's so bold. It's adventurous. It's edgy. You know, it's
risky.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
She knows what I think about. And what I think about. Just eyes, you find out. Nothing now we don't want to tell you about.
All right, whenever you see a Democrat and a Republican in the state legislature describing each other as besties, it's worth having a conversation on our show, I think. It is the kind of government that I think a lot of us want, that you can have strong disagreements about fundamental issues, and you also can work together to grow the state, to improve our local communities, to create jobs, to fix roads, the stuff that all of us want and all of us agree on. And so I'm excited to talk with Karin Housley and Sandra Pappas. Sandy Pappas, two senators who helped lead the bonding bill through. Senator Pappas and Senator Housley, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Great to be joining you, Jason, with my bonding bestie, Karin Housley. She's so funny.
All right, tell me what that is about. Why don't you start, Senator Pappas? How did you guys find this common bond over bonding, I guess?
Well, I think it's years of working together, years of traveling to conferences together, just kind of building a relationship and building trust and understanding what the needs are of each other's caucus. You know, what Karin needs to do to bring her caucus along, what I need to do to bring my caucus along, takes kind of some political wisdom.
Karin, I think the incentives in politics today are not necessarily aligned with what Senator Pappas is talking about here.
I think with Sandy and I, it really was about a relationship, and I don't even know if we realized what was happening while it was happening. She did an amazing job being the bonding lead on the Senate side, and I learned so much from her because she's been on bonding ever since she's been in the Senate almost. And I think the relationship, we traveled to San Antonio and St. Louis and Charlotte, and we'd have long walks together. Every once in a while, we might have a late night wind down cocktail or something, but there was a friendship. And then when Sandy said to the trust that we developed, our conversations were really, really good and really honest. And we both wanted the same thing for our constituents in the state of Minnesota to get things done.
Sandy,
and we also traveled all over the state on the bus together.
I want you to,
yes, we did.
I want you to talk about that because I got to be honest, I did not know that was part of the process. What were you guys doing?
Well, during the odd year, it's been tradition for a couple decades now for the bonding committees in both the House and the Senate to really visit projects in person. So you're doing some of the state agency stuff, for DNR or Department of Corrections, but you're also visiting local communities who are saying, hey, we have these really serious water problems, or we really need to build this important road. And can you help us? And of course, we want to help them all, but we have limited dollars. But at least to physically see what's going on with them. One of the last things that happened that was kind of heartbreaking was in Monoman County, where they had their nursing home sewer collapsed. And we just all came together and said, we got to help them. And so we put $10 million in the bonding bill for them. So I think it does take a team, and we worked with the House too, that really does want to help, everyday Minnesotans and communities throughout the state.
Senator Housley, was there anything as you traveled around the state that sort of surprised you that you think, I don't know if I would have pushed for this if I didn't see it?
Well, first of all, they're very long days.
I bet.
Very,
yeah.
very long days. We meet in St. Paul at 7 a.m. and hop on that bus, and she is a drill sergeant, I'm telling you. Let's go, next place. Get off the bus, get on the bus. I have to bring my Diet Coke just to keep up with her. But I think what was surprising is I think a lot of greater Minnesota legislators think that those in the metro only care about the metro. And with Sandy and the members of the bonding team, they really, truly looked at every single project across the state and heard them and weren't just focused on St. Paul and Minneapolis. They really did see greater Minnesota and its issues. And to take those into account in the whole $1.2 billion bonding project or bonding bill, they did it fairly. And it was really nice to see the work that Senator Pappas did.
Senator Pappas, I think that would surprise a lot of our listeners who are in greater Minnesota, who feel to a certain degree like their concerns are not seen or not heard, maybe because they don't have the population numbers that the cities have.
Yeah, I know. And I really feel bad for them. And that's why it's important for Democrats and suburban Republicans to get out into rural Minnesota and be able to meet with people one-on-one. I also met with people in my office whenever they asked. If they came to the Capitol, I always had an open door. I know Karin did too, to hear an update, hear what their needs were. We tried to do our best, but it's a lot of needs. We had $7 billion in requests, and we had a $1.2 billion bonding bill. So there certainly were people who were disappointed, who didn't get their project funded or didn't get as much as they'd hoped.
I know also, Senator Pappas, for a lot of people in the metro, they do think Stillwater is greater Minnesota. Not quite. Not quite, right, Karin? I mean, this isn't exactly Ghent, for example.
Well, we did have the fishing opener there.
That's right. That's right.
And you know what? And she came out for it. And it was kind of funny because Senator Pappas and I sort of cornered the governor for a brief 5 minutes so we could talk bonding and what our priorities were. Because sometimes you're in the big room at the Capitol with the governor and all of his staff and all of our staff that, sometimes you don't really say what you want to say. So Sandy and I pulled them aside and we're like, hey, this is a priority for us. So it's good sometimes to meet outside and not just in that building.
Senator Karin Housley, Senator Sandy Pappas, Senator Housley, a Republican, Senator Pappas, a Democrat, working together on these bonding issues. Now, Senator Pappas, you're retired. Are you officially retired yet?
I retire at the end of the year, but since session is over, my kind of official work at the legislature is done. Of course, I still represent my constituents until the end of the year.
I'm a little worried with the large turnover that we're going to have in the House and the Senate, that some of this relationship work that has happened over the years, we're going to have so many new people. And not to get like all old man worried about today's politics, but I worry a little bit that this spirit of cooperation that you two have forged might be lacking in whatever we get going forward. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my successor will be a team player. And actually, I'm having a little bit of trouble letting go. Surprise, surprise. So I've been having a lot of conversations and preparing a lot of memos for people. And even in my retirement speech, I gave some advice to the body. So yes, I agree that with new people coming in, they really have to understand some of the traditions. And some of the traditions are not really worthwhile. I mean, we had a tradition where women had to wear skirts on the floor of the Senate. We let that go by. We finally allow water on the floor. We even allow babies on the floor, which I know Senator Housley didn't agree with. But some we certainly need to keep, kind of our civility traditions, which have been tested by some new members. And we need to really have members understand that you may be in the majority now, but you could be in the minority again in the future. And the relationships that you forge, by treating the minority with respect and consideration could possibly be returned to you when you're in the minority. So it's really in your best interest to forge those relationships across party lines. And also what you said in the beginning, Jason, it often can make for better government.
Yeah, I had expressed, Senator Housley, some skepticism about whether divided government actually gives us better results, because often what you end up with is just obstructionism. But I think I've been proven wrong by what this particular legislative session accomplished. It accomplished more than I expected, and I think it address things that a lot of Minnesotans are really concerned about. So I don't know. I'm going back and forth. It takes, in today's world, saying that I was wrong is not exactly the most popular thing to do, but I think I might have been wrong. I think you guys actually did a pretty good job this session.
I'm hoping that what Sandy and I did, and we got 3 bonding bills done in the last 4 years. I'm hoping that, and I'm going to miss Senator Pappas so much. I keep begging her to come back in some capacity.
Me too.
I'm glad I just heard she's having a tough time letting go. But hopefully what we did set an example for all of these new members that it can be done, and it doesn't have to always be this fight. And you can disagree about children on the floor of the Senate and still get off the floor and go have lunch together. So hopefully that's taught some of these younger legislators that going forward, we should be working together no matter who's in charge.
Compromise is not a dirty word. Compromise is called making laws, making good government, that you have to listen to the other perspective and the other side and sometimes give up a little. I certainly gave up some projects in the whole bonding process to satisfy the governor or the House or the Republicans. And that's what you need to do to get the job done.
Senator Karin Housley, Senator Sandy Pappas, I appreciate you guys both so much. Senator Pappas, before you go, I do want to ask you about a topic that we're going to bring up next hour, because the Star Tribune had this report about a number of different legislators who advocated for nonprofits or agencies that ended up to be fraudsters that have been convicted. And there's a lot of anger about, look, our political elected officials doing enough to vet people before they sort of put in a good word or try to interfere or try to intervene. You were named in this story that was in the Star Tribune about House of Refuge, and the owner was sentenced to 43 months in prison after pleading guilty to fraudulently getting almost $2.5 million through this meals program, COVID. Well, I guess when you look at this, do you regret sort of speaking up for them? Where did this go wrong?
Well, I certainly condemn any kind of fraud against state government. It really hurts us all, and it hurts the people when that happens. I felt like I did my due diligence. I got contacted by House of Refuge Services. It's kind of a well-known entity in the North End. I did 2 site visits. I went to a site visit where they were delivering food. They were getting food in from Second Harvest, and they were packaging them up. There were people there from the Sheriff's Department, from the National Guard, people from the community. Then I went back a second time when they had a lunch, and I sat at a table with, I hate to say it, people from the Department of Education, and we know they didn't provide proper oversight. And Sharon Ross gave me a tour of the facility and told me about all her plans. So, and it was, it looks like a legitimate deal. Whatever, I actually don't think I knew anything about the meals program, or certainly didn't know anything about fraud at that point, in the spring of 21. And I think being deceived like that is going to make legislators very cautious about providing any recommendations in the future.
Senator Pappas, we appreciate it. Thanks for your service over all the years, and thank you both for your time with us today.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for the invitation.
Drive Time back in just a minute on a historic day here at CCO Radio, an end of an era and the beginning of a new one. ABC Radio News at the top of the hour.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
Get a full body skin checkup or get that mark or mole or discoloration. Get it checked out. It's Jason here. It is Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and your skin is not something that you want to mess around with. Skin cancer is serious business, and melanoma, oof. Minnesota is one of the top 3 states in the country in new melanoma diagnosis. And the reason for this is obvious. We love getting out in the sun. We are pale people in Minnesota. And when the sun comes out, we go nuts. Get to Karin Dermatology. I go there once a year for a full body skin checkup. I go there much more often than that because I've had kind of marks. I had like a thing on my head. I'm like, what's going on? At Karin Dermatology, they get you in within 3 weeks. You don't have to wait months. In Lakeville, before Karin showed up, people were waiting 3, 4, 5 months to get service. Now they wait 3 weeks and they go to Karin Dermatology. Dr. Mohiba Karin is my dermatologist. She started with one office in Roseville. Now she has more than 10 all over Minnesota and western Wisconsin. They're expanding because they want care available in your neighborhood. Get to the website. One site gets you to all of those locations. Tareen, Tareen, dermatology.com.
At Wealth Enhancement, we believe wealth is in the details. Our team of trusted advisors craft personalized solutions to help you achieve your financial goals. Tune in to the Your Money Show on News Talk 830 WCCO every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. or go to wealthenhancement.com to connect with one of our advisors.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
Mike Rowe here with another random fact. Those cracks on your walls aren't just cosmetic. They could mean your home is sinking. Whether it's drywall cracks, exterior cracks, or sticking doors or windows, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys, and they're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to stabilize your foundation. Innovative Basement Authority is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for detail.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable delivery, he's stocked and ready for the next tip-off. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by Amber Scholl & Associates, American Family Insurance. 494 eastbound's jammed up, Piper Road. Heading out to Highway 61, 35E northbound slows from Highway 62 all the way up toward the area of Wheelock Parkway. 10 eastbound slows, Airport Road to 35W. 494 northbound. Watch for slowdowns there as you come up from before the crosstown toward Carlson Parkway, and then again from Rockford Road into the Fish Lake interchange. Protect what matters most with Amber Scholl and Associates with American Family Insurance. From your home to your car to your dreams, Amber Scholl and her team are here to help you every step of the way. Call Amber Scholl today, 651-738-4811 to learn more, or visit amfam.com. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
You sit on your deck and you're sick of looking at your crappy siding. Type JTR on your computer for roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and more. JTR Roofing has you covered from the roof on down, serving the Twin Cities Metro. For a free estimate, visit jtrroofinginc.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, CCO forecast time. It has been very cold, hasn't it? It's been kind of weird weather. Our weather brought to you by JTR Roofing. Tonight, the low temperature is going to be, I'm going to go with 50. 50 is the low. Tomorrow, passing shower, high of 65. 72 on Saturday, then in the 80s. Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, it's going to be hot. Right now, it is 64 on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha, where the conversation's always in drive. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Well, you're not going to hear that iconic stinger anymore on WCCO Radio. You'll hear it again in 4 minutes. But at 3 o'clock, we flipped the switch and went from CBS News at the top of the hour to something that sounded more like this.
From ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. The latest snapshot on the U.S. economy.
And it's going to take a minute for people to get used to, right? Like, you've been hearing bah, 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 for more than 90 years at the top of the hour here at WCCO. Well, some variation of it, right? Like, it always has changed that song with the times, depending on like what the cool instrumentation is. It's going to be weird, right? But I'm glad we chose ABC News. Some of this is behind the scenes stuff for us that I don't know if you guys are going to care about, but ABC News is great. And we'll have access to more correspondence. So that'll be good. Our news team is excited that the computer interface that with the stuff from ABC is easier. I'm glad that their newscast is only 2 minutes long, which you know what that means, Dan.
More of us.
More DeRusha.
Yeah, baby.
I mean, it doesn't sound significant, but if you get 3 more minutes of DeRusha every day times 5 days a week, that's 15 more minutes of DeRusha. Now, multiply that by, I don't know, how many weeks do you think I work? Say 50? Is that aggressive?
Maybe a little.
Say 47. That's 705 more minutes of DeRusha. That's 11 and 3/4 hours more of this show. God bless you, ABC News. We're all for it. It's coming up. You're going to get to hear it in just a minute. Continental Diamond. It's great. We're covering the news here. We're always covering the news. You guys, we got you. Continental Diamond. Time check is 3:58. Time to set your luxury timepiece that you got from Continental Diamond.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
With the warm days of summer almost here, you're going to want to have an AC in your house. Call Metro Heating and Cooling. We'll be happy to help you choose the AC system that's right for your home and wallet. Get a free estimate at metroheating.com. Metro Heating and Cooling of Maplewood.
Get your home into the comfort zone with Metro Heating and Cooling.
Metroheating.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Jason. We got so excited that maybe we mistimed the final break. I don't know. The thing stopped, Dan, so I'm turning the microphone on. Seems like the right
Why did you hit that button?
I'm standing over here minding my business. Minding my business. ABC Radio News coming up in 1 minute.
If you're struggling to hear conversations, TV, or the people you love, now there's an easier, more affordable solution without spending thousands. Audion Hearing makes high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98 with free shipping and dedicated one-on-one support in the comfort of your own home. No doctor's offices, no pressure, clearer hearing delivered right to your door. Join over 1 million happy customers hearing life more clearly. Visit audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
The first word on what Minnesota's talking about. News Talk 830 WCCO, KMNV HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Always streaming on the free Odyssey app.
From ABC News, I'm Lindsay Davis, anchor Prime, streaming weeknights on ABC News Live. Blowing up, a trade administration attempt to smooth over outrage of Republican senators today over President Trump's Justice Department fund set up to pay people claiming they were harmed by the government in the Biden years. It potentially could include rioters from January 6, 2021. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy in Washington.
The 2-hour closed-door meeting had Republicans airing their frustrations about the fund directly to acting Attorney General Todd Blanche. Heading into the huddle, North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis told reporters,
it sends the signal, hey, go breach the Capitol, destroy the building, assault police officers. You may even get compensated for someday. That's absurd.
Rather than facing efforts by Democrats to force votes on the anti-weaponization fund, GOP leaders sent senators home for a 10-day recess.
That meeting originally was set up to support a funding bill for immigration enforcement. A vote on a measure to force President Trump to end the Iran war is expected in the House today, a big test of lawmakers' willingness to go along with a war they didn't authorize. At the White House today, the president.
Right now we're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Update on California wildfires, one making the Los Angeles air smell like a campfire. That's where ABC's Alex Stone is.
Lindsay, firefighters here are making progress today, aided by improving weather, less wind, and more moisture in the air. And in the coming days, much cooler temperatures are moving in. The fire of main concern burning in Simi Valley. One home was destroyed. Firefighters are having success digging fire line around it. Lindsay.
A day after charges of murder and conspiracy were announced by the Justice Department against Cuba's former president, Raul Castro, the Russian Foreign Ministries issued a statement condemning it. Oil prices surged, then settled back down today, still over $100 a barrel. Wall Street major indexes dropped, then rallied, closing higher. You're listening to ABC News.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 64 degrees at 4:02. I'm Laura Oakes. Top Trump administration officials in the Twin Cities today to announce the formation of the Healthcare Fraud Midwest Task Force. This as the Department of Justice announces charges against 15 more people accused of defrauding government services meant to help vulnerable people find stable housing and children with autism. Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald.
My message to the fraudsters is this: eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered.
McDonald says this round of fraud bilked taxpayers out of $90 million, and it is not the end. In a press release, Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is praising the federal charges announced today, some of which he says resulted from a joint state-federal investigation with his office's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. 41 and a half years in prison for the woman who prosecutors called the mastermind of the massive Feeding Our Future fraud scheme. 45-year-old Amy Bach was accused of stealing millions from a federal child nutrition program meant to provide meals for kids in need during the COVID pandemic. U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen.
The truth is, Feeding Our Future is only a start, and we believe it's only a small fraction of the fraud that is actually ongoing here in the state of Minnesota.
Bach's attorney calling the sentence devastating, saying she has 2 young children and will essentially be serving the rest of her life in prison. An ICE agent who allegedly pointed a gun at another car on Crosstown Highway 62 in February has turned himself in. 35-year-old Gregory Morgan Jr. is charged with felony assault and could face 3 years in prison if convicted. His attorney, Ryan Pasiga.
People do not yet know what was going through his mind or what he was experiencing. And it's easy to get, I think, riled up and think, well, he allegedly pointed a gun at at a vehicle that swerved at him, and that's it, right? But there's so much more to the story here.
Morgan is expected to make his first court appearance tomorrow. Memorial Day weekend is traditionally seen as the kickoff to summer, and it's also the kickoff of a major law enforcement crackdown on Minnesota roadways. Extra troopers will be looking for distracted and impaired drivers, people not wearing their seatbelts, and the number one problem contributing to fatal crashes, speeding. Shannon Graybo is supervisor with the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety.
Some drivers think a few extra miles per hour doesn't matter, but physics tell us otherwise. Every mile an hour over the speed limit increases both the force of a crash and the likelihood of a serious injury or death.
Graybo says troopers issued 166,000 speeding citations on Minnesota roads last year alone. WCCO News Time is 4:05.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Going to find your slowdowns place traveling 35W northbound right out of downtown, heading up to Hennepin Avenue. Opens up only to slow again around 694. 169 northbound, heavy, Bass Lake Road to 610. 610 westbound, jamming up as you approach the area of I-94. 35B northbound, Little Canada Road, crash off to the right side, causing minor slowdowns. Save on organics at Whole Foods Market. Get a 16-ounce container of organic strawberries for $4.79 each with Prime through May 26th. They're the perfect topping for pancakes, yogurt bowls, and more. All supplies last. Shop in-store or online. Terms apply. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Right now might be the perfect time to protect your home with clog-free Leaf Guard brand gutters, custom built for lasting performance. Get Leaf Guard brand gutters through Lindus Construction, 8449 Lindus, or on the web, lindusconstruction.com.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
And yes, it is brought to you by Lindus Construction, a single contractor and construction company for all your home improvement needs. lindusconstruction.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The clouds will continue to fill in as we head through the night tonight. 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Showers tomorrow, but they should hold off. Dry by day with a high of 65. Scattered showers moving in by evening. Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high of 70. Then we warm up. 80 on Sunday, 85 on Memorial Day.
Mostly cloudy right now, 64 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Built on facts, powered by curiosity. News Talk 830 WCCO. Good questions. Topics you'll probably talk about at dinner. Places to go for dinner. This is the Ride Home Reimagined. Welcome to Drive Time with DeRusha. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington. Now, here's Jason DeRusha.
Should every legislator and every elected official who touched this fraud scandal, should they all be booted out of office? Should they all resign? Jason here, Drive Time with DeRusha. Something Dan and I have been talking about today as the Star Tribune's reporting illuminated some of what we already knew. That people knew fraud was happening in Minnesota, that there was fraud related to hunger relief, a meals program that was created during the COVID era. But there has been a crap ton of reporting that has talked about the fact that fraud is a problem in Minnesota. You can argue about whether it's the size of the problem, but to me, it's a big enough problem, right? So we know that fraud is a problem in Minnesota. And we know that, at least when it comes to feeding our future, a number of elected officials sort of tried to grease the skids for these fraudsters and other fraudsters. We asked Senator Sandy Pappas about it last hour. She was one who was named, and she said she did her due diligence. From her accounting, it sure sounds like she did. But what's your expectation? No one, as far as I know, has really lost their job because of the fraud scandal that has enveloped Minnesota You could argue that Tim Walz lost his job or is losing his job. But this reporting by Jeff Meitrot shows just an unbelievable amount of political pressure from elected officials. Should they resign? 651-461-9226. Will you punish these elected officials at the ballot box? And I'm going to give you some of the examples of the people who are named in this reporting. Because what we've seen here in Minnesota and what frustrates me is that we've seen zero accountability, zero responsibility. And yeah, every once in a while, the governor will say, the buck stops with me, I'm the governor. But we've heard from whistleblowers talking about how they tried to sound the alarm. We've seen considerable reporting from the Star Tribune showing evidence that whistleblowers were told, we're not going to pursue that. We're not going to do site visits. We're worried we're going to be accused of being racist. Turned out to be a valid fear because they were accused of being racist. There was a lawsuit filed against the state saying they were being racist in denying payments to Somali social service, what they were purporting to be meals locations, but they were just nothing. 651-461-9226. Texter says complacency should be a crime when it's committed by an elected official. The minimum should be the loss of their job or their seat should be up for election. I think that's pretty interesting. It's an interesting argument. And for me, if you touched fraud, if you put in a good word for feeding our future, you may have been well-intentioned. You may have been defrauded yourself. But I'm not going to vote for you again. I don't think you should be forced to resign or hauled off in cuffs. But there is no chance in hell I would vote for anybody who's touched fraud. And you may have a valid explanation, but I do think it should cost you your seat. 651-461-9226. I guess we're just looking for accountability. We're looking for something. And I do think there's a difference between incompetence and actually defrauding people. But I do think you should pay a price for incompetence, too. And if I put in a word for someone who ended up being a fraudster, that reflects poorly on my judgment, on my due diligence, on my ability, or maybe it's just bad luck, and sometimes you get punished for bad luck. Let's go to Jeff in Sauk Rapids. Jeff, would you vote for any of these politicians who kind of put in a word and said, hey, why is feeding our future having such trouble? What are you guys doing?
Yeah, absolutely not. You and I touched on this. I don't recall if it was early in the week or if it was late last week. But with the elected officials, clearly guilty of malfeasance, at the very least, you should be barred from running for re-election. At the very least. Now, we haven't even talked about the state employees, the supervisors, the managers that look the other way. And in fact, sometimes just plainly went along with it because that was the easy path. And you pointed out earlier today, nobody's been fired. Why? I don't get it.
Yeah, the only one they point to is that the commissioner of the education department in 2021, Heather Muller. Yeah. She's it. But she only, she's like, first of all, like they never said that they fired her.
Yeah.
So who knows why she's not with the agency? When she announced that she wasn't going to seek reappointment, the governor said that she performed incredibly and we were well served by their service. So like that's not giving the stench of accountability to me. A different stench, yes.
But how about the supervisors that told the whistleblowers, the lower level ones, don't look racist?
Right. Right. And the
Start firing these people. They haven't even so much as fired a janitor, for crying out loud.
Thanks, Jeff. I totally agree. The Strib asked, and we've asked as well, has anybody ever been terminated, demoted, or disciplined? Any education department officials? And the only example they could give is Heather Mueller. Come on. That's it? Now, when you look at the number of elected officials that sort of put in a word and helped out, I mean, what this gets to and what this makes me wonder, in Minnesota, we have this sort of, there's an overly trusting environment. And maybe it's the Scandinavian in us, I don't know. But I think our state employees were overly trusting. And to a certain degree, I think we as the electorate are being like overly forgiving. If a new governor is elected, and this is a question that we will be asking both Senator Amy Klobuchar and whoever the Republican nominee ends up being, but what are you going to do with these state employees who have been named as interfering with some of the efforts to have accountability on the fraud? State Senator Omar Fateh, who ran for mayor and came up short in Minneapolis. In April 2021, he met with the education department officials, top officials, to explain why resolving the, quote, reimbursement issue was critical to, quote, maintaining community trust in these important programs. This was an email quoted by the Minnesota Star Tribune. A day later, the education department's government relations director responded and said, we're lifting the payment block due to the concerns expressed by community organizations. Senator Fateh writes back, this is wonderful, fantastic news. Now, the senator has said that they defrauded him too. They fooled him as well. You going to vote for him when he's up for re-election? I would not. I would not. 651-461-9226. It took a kid with a cell phone to blow fraud open. What about the media? Are they biased? Asked a question. Texter. Talking about Nick Shirley and his viral YouTube video about daycares in Minnesota. Dan, did the feds today, did they announce charges against any of the daycares that were shown in Nick Shirley's viral video?
That would be no.
Huh. But I thought that Nick Shirley did all of the work here.
And never mind that, local TV stations, especially KSTP, but all of them have been reporting on fraud in this state for years before he got here.
I will give Nick Shirley a lot of credit in that his form of sort of gonzo journalism, kind of man on the street, going out there. And I don't, it's not journalism in any sense that I would understand it, but it was very effective. It got the story out. It got attention focused on the issue.
It got the attention of the administration. It got the attention of the feds.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Which, to be honest, has anybody else given you confidence that like they're taking this as seriously as they should? I don't know. I think Nick Shirley's video was incredibly significant. What I push back on is the argument that like everybody was covering it up until Nick came to town. I disagree with that. You may have a different view. Fine, you're allowed to. My view is that Nick Shirley is principally responsible for getting this on the radar of the Trump administration.
That's true.
And that alone is significant, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. Would you vote for any of these people who touched it? There's a Republican, a surprising Republican name in this Star Tribune story, too. Do you think these people should have to step down? Should Governor Walz have to step down? 651-461-9226. Drive time back in a minute.
Drive time with DeRusha. on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Let's talk about your home and auto insurance. And are you comfortable right now that you're getting the best coverage for the best price? It's Jason for the Canopy Group. I am, because I work with the Canopy Group. I'm a customer. I was a customer before I started telling their story here on CCO Radio. Why? Because I like choices. The typical insurance setup that you probably have one insurance agent, one company. That's it. You have no options, really. I mean, you could switch to a different agent, but then you get one more option. Would you know, like, oh, I'm getting a good deal or not? You wouldn't really know. If you go to thecanopygroup.com right now and get a quote, they will take your scenario and run it through 16 different companies. 16 companies. So you are assured that you're getting the best deal possible on the market right now. And there's a chance you're going to end up with better coverage at a better price. That's what happened to me. I saved $820 on my home and auto insurance over the first year, and my coverage got better across the board. It's no obligation, so why wouldn't you find out? 800-967-3389 or get a quote at thecanopygroup.com.
So when do you need to start thinking about a will? Find out at gutmanlaw.com. What is a living trust, and do you need this? Find out at gutmanlaw.com. What about a power of attorney or probate? We'll get all the answers to your questions when you schedule a free attorney consultation at, gutmanlaw.com. It's Jordana, and I didn't know the first thing about wills, living trusts, estate planning, but I didn't need to. All I did was reach out to my friend Matt Gutman and his partner Jamie Reth Wagner. This is their focus: wills, trust, probate, estate plans. Now knowing that my loved ones will be taken care of no matter what helps me sleep at night. Don't wait until it's too late to get these things taken care of. You can schedule a free, no-hassle consultation right on the website. Say it with me, gutmanlaw.com. Gutmanlaw.com, giving you peace of mind today for tomorrow. It's not just a slogan. I sleep better at night now that I have my estate plan in place. Thanks to Matt Gutman and Jamie.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1926 $10 gold Indian coins have been found. These gorgeous 1926 gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling the secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1926 $10 gold Indian coin from the exclusive Anniversary Gold Collection, struck 150 years after America declared its independence. These 1926 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition. Call 1-888-201-7071 to secure your exclusive 1926 Special Anniversary Gold Collection $10 Indian coin. Plus, you'll receive a free bonus over a $125 value and free shipping with every order. Call 1-888-201-7071 now to secure your 1926 $10 gold Indian coins before they sell out. Call 1-888-201-7071. Don't wait. Call now.
Gas prices are up. Luther Kia of Bloomington is there for you. It's Jason DeRusha. I love my Kia, and I love Dan Dingman and his team, plus their brand new facility. More room, more service bays, more Kia excellence. EVs, hybrids, the red hot 2027 Telluride. I just test drove it. It is awesome. Get to 35W and 494 and check out 0% financing on Sportages and Sorrentos at LutherKiaofBloomington.com.
Jason DeRusha.
You are not part of the problem. You're actually part of the solution. Thank you.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I can feel something heavy on my heart. I can feel something's tearing me apart. I can feel that
Tons of texts coming in talking about what should happen to some of these politicians that are named in this story by the Star Tribune. And Amy Bach, who was sentenced just this morning to 41 years in federal prison, told the Strib there were a lot of politicians, a lot of people who are working with us. Political leaders have been watching the way the Department of Education is treating Feeding Our Future, and they have been intervening and asking questions. It was Republicans as well, legislators who contacted the Department of Education on behalf of Feeding Our Future or other meal providers that were later convicted of fraud. Okay, so these are Republicans and Democrats. Senator John Hoffman, DFLer from Champlin, Representative Sidney Jordan, DFLer from Minneapolis, and former Representative Eric Mortensen, Republican from Shakopee. Now, Senator Hoffman told the paper, when the fraud was exposed, I felt personally betrayed. The person I corresponded with has been prosecuted and justice has been served. Representative Jordan said she went to bat for a vendor whose owner later pleaded guilty after visiting the business. She observed a working kitchen with ready-to-ship meals. Mortensen said he simply forwarded a constituent's concern to the state education department. Now, the Department of Education is saying that the Star Tribune is selectively choosing documents to support this narrative. And the Department of Education is saying basically they had no authority to stop payments to Feeding Our Future. So they've sort of been making that argument. Now, the judge in that case has been saying, we never said that. I never said that. So they're wrong to make that argument. I just think a price needs to be paid. And Governor Walz is paying a price. He is not running for re-election. He was running and he's not. And why is he not running? Because of this. Personally, I think every name that I just read, none of those politicians should be running. Right? Like, that easy. That easy, what I think. Texters at 651-461-9226. A lot of people think that politicians should be held criminally liable. I'm not sure if I want to go that far. I know you and I were talking about, Dan, whether like the governor should step down now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it would be a symbolic gesture at best. He's, talk about being a lame duck at this point. There really isn't anything else he's going to be able to do. And even if he at this point started identifying people either in the Department of Education or Health and Human Services or wherever it is and say, oh, no, these people are going to lose their jobs now. Well, great. I mean, the administration's got, less than a year left. So what accountability really is that at this point? I just don't know if there's anything more he can do. Even in stepping down, I think is sort of it would be an empty gesture. But it still galls me. And I think it galls. There's a texture in there that said, why isn't fraud a unifying issue for all Minnesotans? And I think it is.
I think it is too. Yeah.
I just think we have vast disagreements about what it is that should be done about it. And a lot of those differences stem from the simple fact that there hasn't been any obvious accountability from the state government.
Yeah.
Nobody has lost their job over this, which just blows my mind and the mind, I think, of most Minnesotans. I think that's what's got people so angry. Some people are angry enough to then want criminal charges brought. Yeah. And I don't know that I blame them for that. I'm not sure I agree, but I don't blame them for being that upset because there really hasn't been any measurable accountability at all in this outside of the folks that have been prosecuted, but none of those are the people that work for the state.
Right.
And that's just an enormous failure on the part of this administration. And yet somebody sooner or later has to step up and say, look, I screwed up. Here's how I screwed up. And I'm stepping down because of it.
Texters say anyone who is complicit in this should be removed from office. The complicit word is one that I struggle with a little bit because to me, complicit implies like you're taking a cut or you're getting a payoff. But I do think you could expand it to say if you pushed state officials to like, hey, let's get going, I'm paying these guys. You grease the skids. Now that is sort of what you do for your constituents. I do think to a certain degree there's some validity to say like, hey, I checked out the place, there were meals. I'm impressed if indeed these folks did go check out the places. Like, I think that's sort of impressive. But results are results. At a certain point, if you advocated for something that turned out to be a massive fraud, then you should pay a price.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I think, there's a lot of folks out there that want to believe that there were folks at the state level that knew absolutely for a fact there was fraud going on, and not only just turned the other way and looked away from it, but actively tried to cover it up for either personal benefit or either monetary benefit or political benefit. I'm not sure I buy that. If there's evidence of that, then we've got an enormous problem, and that needs to be prosecuted. Absolutely. I think what we have here is a systematic failure. They have a bunch of people who, for various reasons, chose not to listen to the folks that were sounding alarm bells and saying, hey, there might be a problem here. Hey, maybe we should look into this. And politics took over for common sense and functioning government. That's a huge problem. And whoever the next governor is, obviously, if it's a Republican governor, there's a lot of, changes that are going to be made.
Yeah.
But where you see, changes in administration, there's a lot of holdovers between administrations because of institutional knowledge, people that know how this department runs, and you need to be able to run this functioning department. I'm not sure that can be this just business as usual for whoever the next governor is. And I suspect it won't. It certainly won't if it's a Republican. And I don't believe Amy Klobuchar is not going to come into here if she gets elected and clean all kinds of house, because it needs to happen.
Texter asks the Flanagan question, and we've asked Peggy Flanagan about this the last time she was on the show. Texter says, I cannot forget that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, who now wants to be a U.S. Senator, was always side by side with Walz during this ugly chapter in Minnesota history. Glad that Walz bowed out. Flanagan needs to do the same. I do wonder how much fraud will be an issue if I'm the Republican candidate for Senate, Michelle Tafoya, one of the candidates, but there are a couple other Republican candidates. You never know who ends up winning the primary. Isn't that how you hammer Peggy Flanagan the whole time? Fraud, fraud, fraud. She was there. Fraud. What did she do? Now she wants to be your senator. I don't know if that's fair or not, but it is a reality. Let's break. We're going to do a lot of, you guys really want to talk about Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley, it's such a hot, maybe we'll talk about that at 5 o'clock. I don't know. Fired up on Nick Shirley. The way that people want to go to war for this kid. It's amazing. You just hate the mainstream media that badly, right? That should have been my grift, right? Like, isn't that the best grift for the former TV news guy to turn on TV news, like the Liz Collin Act? That would have missed opportunity by me. Instead, we'll talk about food. That's what I do. DeRusha Eats, coming your way in just a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO. In a world where the dial is predictable.
And now, more of the same. Coming up, something mildly interesting.
One station refused to be dull.
Breaking news here this morning.
They brought opinions.
No civilized society bans books.
Who are we?
They brought energy.
How about if they just plow the damn street?
To continue slap in the face.
They brought Minnesota.
Is it a witch hunt? I guess, but you appear to be a witch.
Back to life. This spring, boring gets taken down. Curiosity fights back. And your commute will never be the same. News Talk 830 WCCO. The battle against boring starts now.
Dylan Linsky of L3 Family Wealth Partners.
The difference in phase 2 in your retirement phase is now you need to generate an income from your investments.
Listen to the Retirement Reality Report, Saturday at 11 on WCCO.
Washburn McCreevy invites you to a free seminar for pre-planning your funeral and cremation services to help protect your family in the future. Enjoy food visit with speakers from the Hopkins Chapel Friday, May 22nd, 11:30 a.m. at Pizza Luce. Information at washburnmccreevy.com or 612-377-7841.
Hey, Adam Carter here, inviting you to join me November 30th to explore tropical Costa Rica with Colette. We'll stay in the Monteverde Cloud Forest, a place you have to see to believe, where trees grow to heights of 100 feet and the wildlife is abundant, from butterflies to sloths. Enjoy breathtaking views in Nature's Museum. Visit a coffee plantation to learn the history from the bean to the cup. Plus, relax in a resort on the most beautiful beach of Guanacaste. This and so much more. Colette handles all the details: flights, meals, hotels, and local experiences. Your only job is to have the time of your life. Do not miss out. Call Colette at 866-436-6734 or visit WCCORadio.com to learn more. That number again, 866-436-6734. Let's go to Costa Rica.
Mike Rowe here with a random fact.
More than half of the homes that have basements in North America will experience water damage. It's true. Whether it's basement moisture, flooding, or bowing walls, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Innovative Basement Authority is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
You know that feeling when your body is tired, but your brain just won't shut off? We've all been there. Jordana here. That's where CBN comes in. CBN, short for cannabinol, is a naturally occurring hemp cannabinoid known for its relaxing, sleepy effects. Think of it like the lights dimming signal for your brain. While CBD helps you stay calm, CBN helps your body know it's time to rest. That's why we call it CB Night Night. Mini Leaf Night and Night Plus Sleep Gummies combine CBN, CBD, and CBG to help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer, and then wake up feeling refreshed. Free shipping this month at minileaf.com, the home of Minnesota's best legal products. Go to minileaf.com, MINNELEAF.com, and tell them Jordana sent you.
Gas prices are up. Luther Kia of Bloomington is there for you. It's Jason DeRusha. I love my Kia, and I love Dan Dingman and his team, plus their brand new facility. More room, more service bays, more Kia excellence. EVs, hybrids, the red hot 2027 Telluride. I just test drove it. It is awesome. Get to 35W and 494 and check out 0% financing on Sportages and Sorrentos at Luther Kia of Bloomington.com.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Highway 36 eastbound St. Croix River Bridge, activity on the bridge itself. Look for traffic to be down to a single lane getting by off onto the left side. 35 east slows both directions between Roselawn and Kellogg Boulevard. Traveling east 94, that's jammed up through St. Paul, making way between Dale, heading out to Highway 61. USPS Ground Advantage reliable route. That's going to be southbound 494, free one, 394, all the way down to Highway 212. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Jordana Green here. I pray you and your family are always safe. But if there's ever a time where you need an advocate after an accident, let Mike Bryant of Bradshaw & Bryant help you. He will work with and for you in dealing with the insurance company. Call 800-770-7008 today. Bradshaw & Bryant, seeking justice for the injured.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Bradshaw and Bryant bringing us the WCCO Radio forecast from our chief meteorologist, Chris Shea.
We stay dry tonight, and for a good chunk of the day tomorrow, falling back to 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Mostly cloudy tomorrow. It will be raining across western Minnesota. I don't think the showers get to the metro until likely late afternoon into the evening. 65 will be the afternoon high. 70 with a mostly cloudy sky on Saturday. The sweetest days of the forecast, Sunday and Monday. Sunny with highs of 80 and 85.
Right now in downtown Minneapolis, it is 66 degrees on CCO.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Go see Dan Dingman and the crew today, or always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com. DeRusha, he has the eats.
Nobody brings you the Twin Cities restaurant scene like your favorite foodie. Now, Jason explores some of the great chefs, owners, and stories right in our own backyard. Drive Time now transitions into DeRusha Eats.
And DeRusha Eats is brought to you by the Minnesota Pork Board. This is Memorial Day weekend. And my question to you is about restaurant patios or bar or brewery patios. What is the best patio in Minnesota? And what makes a good patio? 651-461-9226. I need your list. I need your favorites, because this is going to be my year of patio palooza. Just feels good. Feels good. Normally, I don't love to eat outside. Food always gets cold, you know? But I do like hanging out outside. I like having a beer, outside, the Pioneer Press put together a crazy patio guide. Crazy. Jess Fleming and Jared Kaufman. And they have this grouped into new spots, neighborhood spots, locations to be seen along the water, and then breweries. And I was thinking about this, Dan, because this weekend there was a little bit of attention that a couple of the Minnesota Wild players got for hanging out at Maynard's on Lake Minnetonka in Excelsior. And Maynard's is a great hang. It's a great hang. Anywhere on Lake Minnetonka is a lot of fun. You got Maynard's and you got Fletcher's. Do I like one more than the other? I'm more of a Fletcher's guy. But I'm not going to kick either one of them out of my bed, you know? When you're on the lake, to me, that is, if I'm going to say what makes the best patio, number one is the scenery. Now, the scenery can have different meaning.
To different people, absolutely.
But I think scenery is critical. So waterfront is probably number one in my book. Skyline would be number two.
Sure.
And Hot Babes would be number three. That's the three.
That's the DeRusha criteria?
Those are the scenery.
Scenery, and scenery.
That's right.
Right. There's two things that to me make a good patio.
Okay.
One is space.
Yep.
So many of these things are sort of crammed into what space was available for the place when they went, hey, we should have a patio. That you're almost right on top of other diners and it feels crowded and it feels overwhelming. I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
So I want a place where there's some space between the tables and the servers aren't bumping into you to get to another table, all that kind of nonsense. The second thing to me is shade. I don't want to be eating outside and get baked.
Oh, shade.
So whether it's, umbrellas, I know there are people that love sitting in the sun and just getting roasted, and God bless them. So do you have umbrellas that can be tilted away if they want the sun, or tilted if you don't want it, whatever. But I'm not a fan of, I have that rare gene where I don't tan. I just go straight from pale to sunburn and then back to pale.
Yeah.
So I'd like to avoid the whole skin cancer thing if possible. So eating outside and, just sweating profusely doesn't really appeal to me. So space and shade are my two big criteria.
651-461-9226. Some of my favorite patios. So this Saturday, the Four Seasons Hotel, Minneapolis, opens up Riva Terrace. And what I love about Riva Terrace, it's like on the fourth floor. It's sort of the overhang of the Four Seasons building. And you've got like the rooftop pool, kind of the, nice hotel stuff. When you go to Riva Terrace, they don't let you go in the pool. Although, who's going to stop me? And the answer
you can do anything once.
You can do anything once. I like that rooftop because there's a lot of shade. There's sort of like outdoor patio, like couches and stuff. So you can sort of lounge a bit. And you've got skyline around you and also the pool, which it's for the hotel guests. It's not for me.
Right.
But like it gives that, it's sort of skyline and waterside.
Are there people lounging by the pool? Is that part of the appeal of the pool to you?
I don't know why you would bring that up.
Because you just said babes like 5 minutes ago. Not even.
That's one of my favorites. Butcher and the Boar. They got their new patio, North Loop. Spacious. That's a good one. Free House. Lively. It's a lot of concrete. I wish there were more greenery. But it's lively. I like lively too. You don't want to be the only one sitting on the patio. That's not.
Well, you don't want to be the only one sitting on the patio.
That's true. I like a little.
Some of us would be just fine with that.
I like a little hustle and bustle. Texters saying best brewery patio. Best brewery. Brewery is a hard word to say. Say it.
Brewery?
Yeah. Sounds silly, doesn't it?
Kind of.
Too many like.
When you're thinking about it too much. Yeah.
Udapills. Udapills is
it's a pretty good one, yeah.
We actually, during COVID, Alyssa and I made a couple of friends on the Udapills patio.
You're kidding.
Whereas COVID, we were lonely. And then the gal next to us was named Alyssa.
Kind of lonely are we talking about?
Well, not that. Don't happily married people just talk to other folks?
I wouldn't know. I've never been married.
Way?
I've never been married. I can't tell you that.
Yeah. Alyssa owns a swimsuit company, and her husband.
You're almost making this too easy. Come on.
Bryce is a bartender. It's like it checked all of the. Now he's in real estate. But anyway, 651. I digress. 461-9226.
Somebody asked about smoking on a patio. Should that be allowed because it's outdoors? And I would still say that has to be a no. I understand you're not enclosed in an area where secondhand smoke would then be a problem. Like it still amazes me when you think back to when you and I were younger and there were smoking sections in restaurants and smoking sections on a plane, as though that separated anybody from the cancer that was floating through the air. It's just mind-boggling. But I still think you're in too close of quarters, even on a patio, because it's not like the smoke just goes straight up from wherever you blow it out, and it doesn't. People are smelling it. There are people that are, have allergy issues. I still don't think on a patio situation you can allow smoking. Really, I mean, I'm pretty sure by law that wouldn't work.
I don't think you're allowed,
even if you were.
Should you be allowed to? Interesting. The Lexington. Where I have a hard time with the smoking stuff is what I want for me versus what I think is good public policy. And what I want for me is no one ever to be blowing any sort of smoke in my direction ever.
Right.
I don't want your weed smoke. I don't want your vapor. Nope. I don't want, keep crap coming out of your mouth in, I don't want it. I'm not interested in any of it.
At this point, I'd much rather have cigarette or cigar smoke coming at me than vape
weed.
smoke.
Oh, the vape, yeah.
Because at least there's the cancer, and then whatever's in that vape stuff that you don't.
There is that. So I know what I would want, but do I think...
But what's good public policy?
I sort of think you should be able to smoke outside. And if you're going to... I don't know. How about that? Talk show host who said, I don't really know. I don't know. Mark it. Coven Wyzetta, says a texter. Oh, Coven Wyzetta is pretty good, except the texter points out the occasional loud train. That is true. But that patio, you feel like you're in like the Northeast. It's really cool. And then the big old freight train goes by right in front of Lake Minnetonka. Kind of ruins it. W.A. Frost in St. Paul. Keep it coming. Lexington is another good. That's a great rooftop. Ooh, so good. Keep the text coming. And I have a conundrum for you that was raised by my son. It has to do with picking up the check. We'll talk about that when we come back.
Drive Time with DeRusha is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Go see Dan Dingman and the crew today, or always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
So I just got a text from Sam asking what's for dinner. What's the dinner plan? Can I tell you something that was nice about having both my kids off at college? None of them asking me what's the dinner plan at 4:47 while I'm hosting a radio show. It was a simpler time, Dan. Ugh. You know what, Sam? Go get some Minnesota pork for dinner, all right? Think about that. How about Sam? Navigate yourself over to tastewhatporkcando.com. Maybe you could look around the website. Put flavor on the table. I don't know. Why do I have to have all the answers? Maybe you could have an answer once in a while. You could search these recipes based on how long it's going to take. Pork fajitas, that sounds pretty good. 10 minutes prep time, 15-minute cook time. What do we need to buy? A pork tenderloin, 1 pound. You go to your grocery store, you go to your butcher shop, you say, let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight. I would like a 1 pound pork tenderloin. They're going to give it to you. It's going to be affordable. It's going to be lean. It's going to be high in protein. You're going to feel great about your dinner tonight. So could somebody text Sam and tell him to get a dang pork tenderloin, support those 3,000 family farmers all over Minnesota, and let's have Minnesota pork for dinner tonight.
Getting ready for summer get-togethers? Start with seating that's built to last. Now through May 26th, enjoy 15% off By the Yard's Deep Seat Collection. Made with premium Sunbrella fabric and UV protection, these cushions are designed to keep their color and comfort season after season. Leave your worries behind with the new technology Dry Fast Foam, allowing air and water to flow through so cushions dry quickly and stay fresh. Durable, easy to clean, and backed by a 5-year warranty. Shop a By the Yard showroom today. By the Yard. Life is better outdoors.
Losing a loved one is difficult enough without having to worry about paying property taxes on a home you inherited. That's really tough. If you're in a situation where you have to sell a property you inherited, you can trust my friends from the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. It's Vanita, the good neighbor agent, just helped Scott, a fellow WCCO Radio listener, get his family home sold. He was going through a lot after his loss and wanted a quick, stress-free process. John's a compassionate guy. He was patient with Scott and also assured him he could get the job done fast without adding any stress. It took him less than 2 weeks to sell Scott's house. The buyer paid $10,000 over asking price. John made a stressful situation a lot easier for Scott. John makes selling easy. Want to know what your home is worth? Find out in seconds on johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Flint Hills Resources Pine Bend Refinery in Rosemont produces important transportation fuels used throughout the Midwest, but they're also active in the community. They support many programs and organizations that make Minnesota better. Go to FHR.com.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
And brought to you by Flint Hills Resources. Got your slowdowns, Highway 35E, both directions between Highway 36 and Kellogg. If you're going to be traveling 35W, that slows both directions between 46th Street and downtown. If you're on 35W, get ready for slowdowns there, both directions between Stinson and I-94. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
With a well-designed will, trust, and estate plan, you can have peace of mind. Choose Matt Gutman of Gutman Law to give yourself peace of mind. Call him now, 612-895-1616 at gutmanlaw.com. Gutman Law, peace of mind today for tomorrow.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, the forecast is brought to you by Gutman Law, Wills, Trust, and Probate Law. Tonight, mostly cloudy, low of 48. Tomorrow, 65. Saturday, 70. Tomorrow, we could have showers by the evening. It's going to be hot over the Sunday, Monday, into the 80s. Right now, it's 65 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
Nothing. It just turns into nothing so quickly.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
Can you blow my mind?
I want to get to some breaking news that just came in. Shocking news that a NASCAR driver from a legendary family, Kyle Busch, has died at the age of 41. NASCAR saying that he was hospitalized with a severe illness. The Busch family announced that earlier today. But my goodness, it progressed quickly. You just think, you're like, Kyle Busch is, I mean, this guy's an absolute legend. He won 2 NASCAR Cup Series titles, won 63 races in his career, and just 41. Thursday, earlier this morning, the family posted on social media that, like, he has a severe illness. And it said Kyle has experienced a severe illness resulting in hospitalization. He is undergoing treatment and will not compete in any of his scheduled activities this weekend. We ask for understanding and privacy as our family navigates this situation. But, oh my gosh.
A huge racing weekend coming up, obviously, with Memorial Day. It means the Indy 500, but it also means the Coca-Cola 600, one of NASCAR's big events. Kyle absolutely would have been participating in, along with a F1 race in Canada. It's just shocking. Anytime somebody that young dies, it's just an absolute shock.
2 young kids.
I mean, just, a beautiful family, obviously friends, a lot of loved ones that are just going to be devastated by this news. But yeah, it's just, you and I sit here 10 years older than this guy and think that he's lost his life. It's
right.
just, it's mind bending.
His dad was a mechanic. His brother, Kurt.
Brother, also a legendary NASCAR driver for sure.
7 years older, but they grew up in Vegas. Just, it is one of those things that, like, it sounds so trite to say, like, oh, you never know. And it doesn't matter how rich you are or how famous or how successful. You never know when your time is going to be over.
Tomorrow isn't promised to any of us is cliche for a reason. And this is just yet another example amongst many of why that is such a true statement. It just, it does remind you. It's not like you can spend every day thinking that, but there are stark reminders that, man, every sunrise is precious because you never know when it's going to be your last one.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about the illness. He was in Charlotte for those races. Richard Childress Racing is his team, but he was supposed to compete in the NASCAR race at that Coca-Cola 600.
Mm-hmm.
First, and he is a prolific racer, right?
I mean, he's
always there. He's always in.
So you got the Cup Series and then the O'Reilly Series underneath that and the Truck Series, and he loved to race in all of them. Just anytime he could get behind a wheel and race, he was there and ready to do it, and was sort of known for being one of the few guys that just loved to drive. Anytime he could get behind a wheel. So, I mean, obviously an enormous loss for NASCAR, and I'm sure it's going to deeply affect how the Coca-Cola 600 gets run this weekend, obviously, assuming they still run the event. I certainly wouldn't blame them if they didn't, but I'm not sure that's even an option.
When you look and you think, like, what do you do in a circumstance? You got to run the race.
I think you got to run the race, but I mean, the whole tenor of the race is going to be vastly, vastly different. And it's going to be obviously a chance for, all of NASCAR to celebrate this life that was cut short too early. But yeah, it just puts a pall.
And you wonder, you say, like, what happened? Right.
Right. And I don't blame the family for not disclosing right away. I mean, they're still trying to get their head around this.
Maybe they don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. You get hospitalized all of a sudden, but bad enough to know that it was going to be rough. And then just this news coming out within the last couple minutes from NASCAR. Just a generational talent, Kyle Busch, 41 years old, and he has died. ABC Radio News will have the latest coming up in a couple of minutes. I'm still getting used to it. Continental Diamond time check. Right now it's 4:58. Drive time back with Hour 3 in a minute.
Ready or not, summer is coming, and Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance is on now. Right now through May 25th, get up to 70% off everything home at Wayfair. Plus, score amazing doorbuster deals all sale long and surprise flash deals on Memorial Day. We're talking thousands of products at every style and budget. Now is the time to save big on must-haves for your patio, backyard, and beyond. These savings won't last, so don't wait. Shop Wayfair's Memorial Day clearance now through May 25th.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You just testified under oath you're getting more fiber in your diet, and it was easy? Where is this additional fiber coming from?
Mira Fiber Gummies.
Objection!
It's true. Mira Fiber has 8 grams of fiber to help me get the fiber I need in a day, plus 4 B vitamins for metabolism support, all in one serving.
Overruled.
My gut rests its case.
Oh, that's my line.
Find Mirafiber today at your local retailer from the makers of Miralax. Mirafiber supports metabolism of carbs, fats, and proteins. Serving size is 4 gummies.
Support comes from Amazon Business. You can't rely on guesswork to run your business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Empower your team today. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Gas prices are up. Luther Kia of Bloomington is there for you. It's Jason DeRusha. I love my Kia, and I love Dan Dingman and his team, plus their brand new facility. More room, more service bays, more Kia excellence. EVs, hybrids, the red hot 2027 Telluride. I just test drove it. It is awesome. Get to 35W and 494 and check out 0% financing on Sportages and Sorrentos at LutherKiaofBloomington.com.
Minnesota's source for news, weather, traffic, talk, and Twins baseball. News Talk 830 WCCO, KMNB HD2, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
From ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Something bombed today, and it had nothing to do with Iran. It was a meeting on Capitol Hill that sources in the room tell ABC News devolved into yelling. Republican senators telling the acting attorney general President Trump's Justice Department fund could cost them the Senate majority. The fund is supposed to pay people claiming they were harmed by the government in the Biden years. It potentially could include rioters from January 6, 2021.
Sources say over nearly 2 hours, Republican senators tore into the acting attorney general, airing their anger over his new anti-weaponization fund. Rather than facing efforts by Democrats to force Republicans on the record on motions to prohibit payments from the fund, GOP leaders sent senators home for a 10-day recess. Senate Majority Leader John Thune sounded exhausted as he told reporters,
"It makes everything way harder than it should be."
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
A vote on a measure to force President Trump to end the Iran war is expected in the House today. At the White House, the president.
Right now we're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
Holiday travel update from ABC's Alex Stone in Los Angeles.
Chuck, in many areas now, the holiday weekend getaway is underway. Delta Airlines says today is its busiest day of the long weekend, and AAA reports 45 million Americans will be heading out beginning today, mostly on the roads. Gas Buddy saying the average price for regular unleaded in the U.S. is at $4.55 a gallon today. California, the highest at $6.13 a gallon. San Francisco, the top of that list at $6.28 a gallon for regular unleaded. Chuck.
ABC's Alex Stone. People have set fire to an Ebola treatment center in one of the towns at the heart of the outbreak in eastern Congo as fear and anger grows over a health crisis that authorities and aid agencies are struggling to contain. You're listening to ABC News.
Minnesota's trusted voice. Every hour. Let's get you caught up with what's happening now on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Mostly cloudy, 65 degrees at 5:02. I'm Laura Oakes. Top Trump administration officials in town today highlighting their latest efforts to fight fraud in the state.
The Department of Justice announcing it's uncovered massive systemic fraud targeting over $90 million in taxpayer funds across state-managed Medicaid programs, prompting the expansion of the healthcare fraud Midwest strike force to Minnesota. Today, historic criminal charges have been announced against 15 defendants. Assistant Attorney General for the National Fraud Enforcement Division, Colin McDonald.
My message to the Minnesota community and to all of America is this. If you see something that seems too good to be true, tell us.
He says the department is deploying 15 newly hired dedicated prosecutors to hotspot areas nationwide and continues to seek public assistance to locate remaining fugitives. In downtown Minneapolis, I'm Taylor Rivera. News Talk 830 WCCO.
Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Medicare and Medicaid Services Administrator Dr. Mehmet Oz were also part of that press conference in Minneapolis today. In a press release, State Attorney General Keith Ellison is praising the federal charges announced today, some of which he says resulted from a joint state-federal investigation with his office's Medicaid Fraud Control Unit. The federal prosecutor who initially spearheaded the massive Feeding Our Future fraud investigation says so-called ringleader Amy Bach got what she deserved in being sentenced to more than 41 years in prison today.
Amy Bach did everything she could to earn it. The judge found what we all knew, which was that Feed in Our Future was entirely fraudulent. All the sites under its sponsorship were fraudulent. And she carried out the scheme every step of the way.
That's former acting U.S. Attorney for Minnesota, Joe Thompson. Bach has also been ordered to pay $243 million in restitution. Her attorney says he plans to appeal. An ICE agent deployed to Minneapolis as part of Metro Surge is expected to turn himself in today after a warrant was issued against him. 35-year-old Gregory Morgan Jr. was charged in Hennepin County with felony assault for allegedly pointing a gun at another car on Crosstown Highway 62 in February. Today is expected to be among the busiest travel days on the road ahead of the long holiday weekend.
AAA expects Memorial Day weekend to be another record setter when it comes to travel, with 45 million Americans traveling at least 50 miles from home. Spokesperson Brenna Knapp says it's the smallest year-over-year growth for Memorial Day weekend travel in over a decade.
So our growth is tapering off, and surely that has to do with increasing fuel prices. We're seeing people are still choosing to travel, but maybe, picking a shorter trip or delaying their travel to, later in the summer or staying closer to home.
Despite those rising gas prices, driving remains the top travel method headed into the weekend.
Last year, over the Memorial Day period, we answered over 2,600 emergency roadside calls.
Mark Fry, News Talk 830 WCCO.
And WCCO News Time is 5:05.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Some activity on the St. Croix River Bridge for Highway 36. Look for the right lane to be affected in both directions and delays as make way through that area. Traveling 35E, got your slowdowns there as make way between Roselawn and essentially Randolph. Traveling 35W northbound. Looks like we got a crash working down the area of 46th Street. It's already slow as you come up from about 46th Street into downtown. And then southbound 35W as you head ahead down toward Lake Street. Looks like we have a crash working there into the right lane. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Hungry? Go to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan for real Texas barbecue. All meats smoked fresh in-house daily. You can dine in, take out, have it delivered, or have your event catered anywhere in the metro. Just go to Dickeys.com. Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Brought to you by Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader. Find them at Dickeys.com. Here's WCCO TV Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
The clouds will continue to fill in as we head through the night tonight. 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Showers tomorrow, but they should hold off. Dry by day with a high of 65. Scattered showers moving in by evening. Saturday, mostly cloudy with a high of 70. Then we warm up. 80 on Sunday, 85 on Memorial Day.
Mostly cloudy right now, 65 at News Talk 830 WCCO.
Asking better questions, getting better answers. News Talk 830 WCCO. He knows news. He knows talk. He knows nonsense too. So get ready for a lot of each. This is Drive Time with DeRusha, fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Once again, here's Jason DeRusha.
It almost feels like a weekend, doesn't it? You can feel it. The weather's going to change. You guys are going to be off work on Monday for Memorial Day. It's going to be 80.
Now shut up and drive.
Summer in Minnesota. It's what we wait for. It's what we live for. Fraud in Minnesota also appears to be what we wait for. I hope it's not what we live for forever. The feds came to town today to make a big show of Minnesota. And to be honest, we deserve it. We do. I don't love being used as a prop when the director of the FBI flies with conservative influencer Nick Shirley on the plane and Dr. Oz comes out. You know it's showtime, right? That's why they're here, to make the show. And to be honest, if the federal government wasn't so hell-bent on making a show out of Minnesota when it comes to fraud, I'm not convinced that the power structure of this state would have taken fraud as seriously as they are now doing. My question for you, after the feds today announced another $90 million in fraud accusations, federal indictments, federal charges against 15 different defendants. Do you feel like Minnesota has a handle on fraud? 651-461-9226. Do you think we have a handle on fraud today? And look out, say, 3 months. Do you think that we've got this? Because you know what? I don't think we've got a handle on it. I don't think we have a real understanding on how big the scope of the problem is. And I certainly have seen very little evidence that we have an indication as to what it takes to stop it. I think when fraud happens, we're pretty good at going after the people once we figure it out. You know what I mean? Now, yes, we could talk about feeding our future, and we certainly had a lot of the warning signs that fraud was going on. What we didn't have at that point was the will to go after it, the desire to go after it, the guts to stand up and be willing to investigate almost all Somali people. We didn't have the will to do it as a state. Today, I think we do have the will to go after fraud after it's been discovered. If a whistleblower came out today, I think it would be handled differently. But if it wasn't for the federal government, I don't know that we would be there. And also, I still don't have much confidence that we're going to catch fraud before it happens. Do you? Because that's what I want as a taxpayer. I guess, like, on the scale of things, yeah, I want you to bust people who break the law, but I would prefer that you prevent the law from being broken. And that's where I don't have a ton of confidence that there's been a significant change here. Do you? 651-461-9226. Texter from 763. We do not have a handle on it because people are afraid to be called racist. Until we get a handle on that, we're going to be afraid to go after this. Do you think that's true? So I just asserted that I think today, because of the folly, right? It's so obvious today in retrospect that this fear of being called a racist, look at the absolute crap show that resulted. And until somebody can change my mind, I am fairly convinced that the number one reason that we didn't pull the plug on this earlier is because people didn't want to be called a racist. And again, like, today it's easy to say that and look at it and be like what was with these woke losers that they were so afraid to be called racist? Well, Amy Bach filed a freaking lawsuit and won. She won the lawsuit at first. So this fear of being called a racist, it's not an unjustified fear. It's a reasonable fear. And today I don't care. I'm going to say it. I'm going to call it out. If you want to call me racist, go ahead. But we have a major problem with fraud in this state. And many of the perpetrators today in 2026, most of the perpetrators are from the Somali community. Say it. Say it out loud. Does it hurt you to say it? It'll feel better if you say it a couple times. It doesn't mean that we need to throw the Somali community back to Somalia. It doesn't mean that the incredible people who are making life and making a life and making our state better, it doesn't take anything away from any of those people in my book. Because you can hold the truth that most people are good, and still almost all of the people who are the bad actors in this arena are from the Somali community. Is that difficult to say? I will tell you, Dan, would I have confidently said it 3 years ago? No.
And I think that's the thing, that the context has completely changed. And that's where I disagree, I guess, with the texter, that at this point, if there are people in the state government that are saying, well, we suspect there might be a problem here, but we don't want to be called racists, then we got to blow the whole thing up and start over. Right. I mean, I can't fathom that still happening at this point. Do I believe it happened earlier? Absolutely. I do. I absolutely think that that's what happened early on. I don't think it's happening now. That doesn't mean we've got a handle on this thing. And I certainly don't know that I trust the federal administration coming in here. Does that help? Sure, it probably helps. But does that mean, okay, now the feds are here, everything's hunky-dory? I don't know that I buy that either.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure I trust their motives in all of this.
You know, that you raise a very interesting point that I want to talk about when we come back. Lots of texts coming in. Keep it coming. Do we have a handle on it? Do you feel better about it? Does this latest batch of indictments make a difference to you? This is very interesting. I'm going to think more about what Dan just said. And we're going to talk about it when we come back. 651-461-9226. Lots of good text coming in. Keep it coming. Fraud is the big issue. Again, making national news today, these new indictments. $90 million, 15 people accused of defrauding Medicaid. I don't think we have a handle on this. And I'm worried. 651-461-9226. Drive time back in a minute.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Chris Lindahl Real Estate. ChrisLindahl.com. Chris is my friend. It's Jason here for Chris Lindahl. He was in the Star Tribune today talking about his predictions for the market based on what he's seeing out there right now. And I got to be honest, it's not great. Chris is seeing more and more uneasy people in the market. Uncertainty out there. People looking but not buying. Lots of places where homes are sitting on the market for a long time, taking a price reduction. And Chris thinks that the market is not going to turn around, that a major adjustment is on the way. If you want certainty, you can get it. If you've got a house you want to sell and you don't want to deal with the drama, ChrisLindahl.com. Guaranteed cash offer was created for just this scenario. And Chris will cash you out. You don't have to fix up the house. You don't have to do the landscaping. You don't have to do jack squat. Just go to ChrisLindahl.com, get a free smart seller guide, and see if it makes sense for you. Guaranteed cash offer. More and more people saying yes, getting a big red check. Find out why at ChrisLindahl.com.
Download to see if you qualify. Not all customers will qualify. Transfer fees may apply. No Albert subscription required. Albert is not a bank. Albert Instant Loans are issued by FinWise Bank, member FDIC. Not an actual client. Terms apply.
Kylie, what's wrong? I just got hit with a car repair bill. I'm behind on rent, and I feel like I can never save any money.
Have you tried the Albert app? Albert is your financial assistant, helping you find ways to save and create custom budgets to actually grow your money. Plus, you can get up to $10,000 for big expenses or advance up to $1,000 fast when you need cash right away.
Albert can get me up to $10,000?
Exactly. Albert spots you in a pinch and helps you grow your money in the long run.
I'm downloading Albert right now.
Download the Albert app and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000 for whatever you need. The Albert app helps you budget better and save more money so you reach your financial goals faster. Download the Albert app right now and use promo code GO to borrow up to $10,000. Use code GO to borrow up to $10,000.
This is the story of the one. As a procurement manager for a hospital system, she keeps every facility in her network stocked and ready. That's why she counts on Grainger to be her single source for thousands of products, from disinfectants to lighting, air filters, and more. And with fast, dependable delivery, Grainger helps her keep every facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications that top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
This is Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
I'm picking out this dress, trying on these shoes, cause I'll be single soon. I'll be single soon. I know he'll be a mess.
All right, before the break, Dan said that he doesn't trust the Trump administration's motive. And I was thinking about this quite a bit today. And I'm curious where you guys are on this, because I don't trust it either. And I said at the beginning of the segment that when you bring Nick Shirley, the YouTuber who's sort of gonzo style, gotcha, showing up at daycares, was so compelling, it got this story on the radar of the Trump administration. But when you bring Nick Shirley out here and you bring Dr. Oz, who runs, I think he runs Medicaid, Medicare, and you bring the FBI director, all to announce 15 indictments for $90 million. Now, $90 million is a lot of fraud, but like they were saying there was $18 billion or $9 billion. This is $90 million. It's not even the fraudsters that Nick Shirley was purportedly exposing. So there's some showbiz going on here, as there always is from the Trump administration. Is it possible to have an administration with shady motives, which is sort of the scenario I'm laying out here? Their motive is not to make life great in Minnesota. Their motive is not for you, good neighbor in Minnesota, to trust your Minnesota government more. Their motive is to make Tim Walz look dumb, make Democrats look like fraudsters, and inject a little bit of dose of racism in there against the Somali community, which goes to some of their nationalistic, close the borders, send the immigrants we don't like back to their home country. And also, like, if they're going to go after fraud relentlessly, I say great. And it is not a mainstream political opinion today to say, I question their motives and I appreciate the outcome. I appreciate the effort, but that's sort of where I am on this. I am glad that the Trump administration is focused on fraud. And I'm glad that let's charge more people. Let's find more examples. Let's make sure that taxpayer money goes to where it should.
Yeah, I'm glad you clarified, because I think that is kind of my point, is that I don't know that I trust why they're doing it, but as long as somebody's doing it and we're keeping an eye on the whys and the what fors, I'm not sure I'm really objecting to them coming in and doing these things. But to your point about the performative aspect of this, I did pull a cut from the press conference today. And if you hear this line, you understand immediately what we mean by that performative aspect.
My message to the fraudsters is this: eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered.
I mean, first of all, excellent use of frolicking. I'll give him credit for that. And look, it's politics. This is the kind of rhetoric you get when you're talking politics. I get all that. But you go back to when Thompson was the acting U.S. attorney here, and he was the guy kind of leading the charge against fraud. It really did take the federal government stepping in to even start pushing back and prosecuting a lot of these folks. So you do need the feds, I believe, involved. I don't know that local, even the attorney general has the resources. The Minnesota attorney general has the resources to be able to get their arms around this. You do need cooperation from the feds. My point is, you just got to keep an eye on it, because again, I don't trust the reasons behind why they're stepping in. That doesn't mean I don't want them stepping in. And that's a heck of a tightrope to walk. But I think it's where we got to be as Minnesota right now.
651-461-9226. We do not understand the root cause of the fraud. It's a result of the overfunding of the welfare state. I do think that is a valid question. And I've asked that question quite a bit over the last year. This question of whether part of what we love about Minnesota, part of what a lot of us love about Minnesota, is that we have been a welcoming place for people who are fleeing from just a hellish life. And it goes back to the Hmong. I mean, honestly, it goes back to the Irish and the Poles and the Italians and the Jews. And you think of this state as having an open door to refugees, people fleeing from all sorts of scenarios. More recently, the Hmong, the Karin, and the Somalis. And I think it is fair to say and to ask, are we too generous? Are we too generous? Does the generosity of some of our social programs in a time where we don't have enough money to fund some of the basics that our current residents expect, are we, I don't want to say are we asking for it, but are we making ourselves an easy mark? Are we an easy target? And that's something prosecutors, federal prosecutors have talked about. I will say this. There's a big gulf between $90 million worth of fraud and $18 billion worth of fraud. And I'm guessing you're not hearing a lot of this take today, but aren't you a little underwhelmed by $90 million? I mean, the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, was supposed to be here in Minnesota today, and he wasn't because he's trying to save President Trump's $2 billion slush fund for the true heroes that we all should be fighting for. Mike Lindell, the January 6th rioters. So stupid. But he's working to save that. But he was going to come here. So I don't know, when you hear like, whoa, the feds are coming to announce the next big fraud shebang, I expected now $90 million of fraud from 15 people is a crap ton of fraud. It's really bad. Please prosecute them, and if guilty, send them away. And like 90 mil? That gets Dr. Oz, FBI director.
The FBI director wasn't at that one.
Oh, who else was coming?
It was RFK Jr.
Oh, RFK Jr.
Yeah.
RFK.
Yeah, and I mean,
a little underwhelming.
If you take it was the assistant U.S. attorney that was leading the press conference. If you take him at his word, he said that this is obviously just the beginning of their presence in Minnesota and their investigation in Minnesota. So yes, $90 million is a crap ton. It isn't the $18 billion, but obviously their work also is far from done. And that goes back to our original question, which is, at what point are we going to be able to say that we have our arms around this and that we've stopped what we can stop and we're stopping future stuff. And I don't know how long that's going to be. I suspect it's going to be many years before we even start to feel that way.
The state is saying, look, we've shut down a lot of payments. And a texter points out the reality that, if you feel bad about anyone in this scenario, and I feel bad about taxpayers, right? Like, that's your hard-earned money that you're giving to the government, and to have it abused like this with not much interest and oversight from the bureaucrats in the state level, at least the supervisors, what we've been hearing about, that's upsetting. But a texter says, like, I'm really upset about all the people who should have been getting those services. I feel sorry for the people who need to use the services after the fraud, because a lot of money has been withheld. I do agree, if people think they can get away with it, though, they will. And I think we see that all across. If you think that people will just do the right thing, they won't. They won't. And so we need to be more vigilant, more skeptical. Things need to slow down. So you're not going to get stuff as fast as you did. And we probably need to spend more money on site visits and auditors and inspectors. We need more cops, essentially. It's just a fiscal cop, but you need more cops out there doing that sort of work. Because, frankly, it's not just about the money. It's about the fact that I think all of us have less trust that our money that we're paying in taxes is going to do what it's supposed to be doing. And that's significant. That's significant. Let's break. In a minute. Tonight, it's a big broadcasting transition day. We went to ABC Radio News for the first time in the history of this radio station, more than 90 years. Top of the hour. You'll hear it again at 6 o'clock, and you'll hear ba, 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 instead of ba, 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 ba. And this has been News Theme Karaoke. Tonight, Stephen Colbert goes off the air. Simple question. Are you going to watch his final show? 651-461-9226. Drive time back in a minute.
Drive time with DeRusha. Tuned up and rolling. Thanks to Luther Kia of Bloomington.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech, sponsored by University of Maryland Global Campus.
Nintendo is hiking the price of its Switch 2 game console by $50 to $500 as the company looks to offset profit pressures. Nintendo says its hardware business is feeling pressure from a global electronics component shortage and higher shipping costs due to the Iran conflict. Even with weakening sales, the Switch was the top-selling gaming console in March, according to industry tracker Circana. I'm Jason Brooks.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations, including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus, showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Shell.
Chad back here with you on CCO. I want to talk insurance and the group I have trusted for 30 years. Not just me, my father, my boys. We have been with Amber Scholl and Associates the entire time. They are with American Family, and trust is the right word. When something awful happens with your business or your home or your car, you need people who are available. You need individuals who have a team, and they've handled every situation. Amber and her team have done that. Let's be honest. Insurance rates are complicated. You need someone who knows this business in all ways, and I wouldn't be with Amber for 30 years unless I totally believed in her. Call today, 651-738-4811, and tell me you heard this spot from Chad on CCO.
Mike Rowe here with a random fact. More than half of the homes that have basements in North America will experience water damage. It's true. Whether it's basement moisture, flooding, or bowing walls, do yourself a favor. Call Groundworks. I spent some time working with these guys. They're the real deal. Their people are trained and certified to waterproof your basement and stabilize your walls. Innovative Basement Authority is now Groundworks. Schedule a free inspection.
Licensed in all states where work is performed. See website for details.
Maintaining a larger home while you were younger and were raising a family might have been worth it. But now that your kids are older, and so are you, could be more work than you want, admit it. If you're thinking about downsizing, you need to call my friends from the John Schuster Group, Coldwell Banker Realty. It's Vanita here. Lowell and Linda have been hearing me tell you about the good neighbor agent and the client success stories for years. When they were ready to downsize, they knew they had to give John a call. The Schuster Group specializes in senior relocation services. They also specialize in marketing, really important, which helps their home sellers sell their houses fast and for the most money possible. That makes the next stage of life a lot easier. It only took John 16 days to find Lowell and Linda a buyer. Curious what your home is worth? Find out in seconds on johnschustergroup.com.
Buy a home, sell a home, we'll get you moving. JohnSchusterGroup.com.
Terms and conditions may apply.
Lunch was great, but this traffic is awful.
Can we stop at a bathroom?
Are you all right?
I keep having stomach issues after eating, like diarrhea, gas and bloating, abdominal pain, and sometimes oily stools.
Sound familiar? Those stomach issues may actually be a pancreas issue called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. Creon pancrelipase may help manage EPI. Creon is a prescription medicine used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor and always with food. Do not chew capsules as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. Call 800-633-9110 or visit creoninfo.com to learn more. That's CREONinfo.com.
I'm asking my doctor about EPI and if Creon could help.
Time to find out how it's moving on the roads and what's moving in via the skies. This is traffic and weather together on CCO, starting with a check of the commute.
Well, for 35W southbound near 42nd Street, it's an accident that has the left two lanes affected. Emergency vehicles on the scene. Traffic's jammed up pretty much as you come down from University Avenue northbound. Get ready for a Gawker delay, and looks like we get, unfortunately, some activity on the bridge overhead that's not really helping matters. Speaking of bridges, problems on the St. Croix River Bridge has the westbound lanes currently closed for Highway 36 as you head toward Stillwater. It's all closed up at the Wisconsin 35. Sherry Peterson, News Talk 830 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
CCO forecast time. Let's get it from Chief Meteorologist Chris Schaefer.
We stay dry tonight, and for a good chunk of the day tomorrow, falling back to 48 with a mostly cloudy sky. Mostly cloudy tomorrow. It will be raining across western Minnesota. I don't think the showers get to the metro until likely late afternoon into the evening. 65 will be the afternoon high. 70 with a mostly cloudy sky on Saturday. The sweetest days of the forecast, Sunday and Monday. Sunny with highs of 80 and 85.
Right now, it is sunny in downtown Minneapolis. Looks nice, but feels a little chilly. 64 on CCO.
You're listening to Drive Time with DeRusha.
That's my favorite thing to do. It is one of my 2 or 3 favorite things to do, whether it's in the office, it's in town.
It doesn't matter. There's nothing better.
On News Talk 830 WCCO.
I love television. I love late night television. And I should be more interested in the end of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. And I'm not. Tonight's the final show. And I have strong memories of watching the final Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, the final Late Show with David Letterman. And I don't care. I don't care. Late night TV, partially because of its obsession with politics, partially because just the way we consume media has changed, and I don't watch TV the same way that I used to. But it's hard for me to get too worked up about it, and I don't think I'm going to watch tonight. Are you going to watch the final Colbert Show? 651-461-9226. I think you can't separate the end of the Colbert Show from the odious political pressure that the Trump administration has decided to put on broadcasters, and a capitulation by CBS in trying to kiss the ring of Donald Trump, which did that work? It never works. Never works. He'll be your buddy today and not tomorrow. And so they wanted Colbert gone. The Ellisons wanted to buy CBS and merge CBS and Paramount. And so there goes Colbert. Now, would Colbert have been gone anyway? Probably. The economics of doing a big time production on the Ed Sullivan Theater, coupled with the fact that so many people are streaming now. I mean, for me, here's why I don't watch late night TV. Like, I don't usually watch the 10 o'clock news because I'm usually streaming stuff. So I'm like streaming a show on Netflix or Apple TV or whatever. And then you look at the clock, and Alyssa and I, often it'll be like, oh, you finish, like we just finished Shrinking. The show Shrinking. I didn't finish.
Pardon me?
Yeah. Believe me. So you'd finish around 9:43. You're like, yeah, let's watch another one. And then it's 9:28 or 10:28. I'm shrinking. I'm going backwards in
doing
time.
some serious math there.
So it's like 9:40 whatever, and then it's 10:20 whatever, and you're like, well, I missed all the news. So I could tune in for the Chris Schaefer 7-day forecast that I heard 3 times an hour during my program. I could tune in for the, whatever. I'm like, may as well go to bed or watch one more show. And so the idea of, I should see what Colbert has or what Kimmel or what Fallon, it just like it never crosses my mind.
Yeah.
I never watch it anymore.
I don't either. And, for me, I think Stephen Colbert is an amazing interviewer. I think he gets great guests on the show and has really interesting conversations. And I think I can watch those the next day in clip form on social media. And that's been the big shift, is that you don't have to watch the thing. You don't have to DVR it. You don't have to be there live.
Yeah.
You can catch up the next day if there's something worth doing. It's not must-see appointment television anymore. And with most of the monologues, it's so heavy on politics and especially bashing the president that to me, it gets old and rote after a while. And part of that is, in the business that we work in, we hear this stuff all day long as it is.
Right.
So the last thing you want to do when you're trying to decompress a little bit is dive into more of that. I did tune in when Kimmel came back after his, brief vacation.
Me
I did
too.
tune in
Yep.
to hear what he had to say there. And so that same kind of curiosity has me thinking about maybe tuning in to at least the start of Colbert tonight. But like I said, there's also that part of me that just says, if there's anything that special, I'll be able to see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
In the meantime, there's other stuff
Boy,
I can be doing.
The clipping has really changed the way that
completely.
Now, Texter accurately points out, says, look, Jason, you're saying that Colbert's obsession with politics makes it less enjoyable. And overall, the late night genre, it's so political. And the texter says, every day, that's all you lead with is politics and controversy.
That's not true.
Well,
no, that's pointedly false. And it's demonstrably false.
But we
do talk a lot about politics because that's what the business that we're in requires us to.
It's a news talk radio show.
So you're going to
talk about the news.
But it's not every day, and it's not what we lead with all the time.
It's a lot, though. No. I'll accept. I know, Dan's. Am I being too nice about it?
What I object to
we
is
talk more about politics than I think if I were drawing up this show, what I would want in my dream world wouldn't be this much politics. But this is the world. Like
this is the world we have to exist
So you have to
in,
do the show that is relevant to the world today, and that's what we're doing. But if it were up to me, what kind of show I would just draw up.
We also lead the show with you getting locked out of your car all the time too. So I mean, look.
True.
That's the part of it that I
Number one topic on the show is me.
Exactly.
As it should be. I mean, what's more interesting? Texters say late night comedians have always joked about the politicians.
Not in the way they do now.
It's different.
It's completely different. I mean, that's just.
He will have highest ratings tonight, says a texter, probably.
He will, because the other shows are basically going dark tonight to support him. And there will be that curiosity factor. He's going to pop a massive rating tonight. And okay, the show's still done, and he's still moving on to other things. Stephen Colbert is going to be just fine. Nobody's worried about Stephen Colbert. I think he'll take care of his family. Who's really getting screwed on this is the staff.
Yeah. Yep. You know what a lot of people don't remember about Colbert, though, is when Colbert started his show, he wasn't so political.
No.
And it was flopping. It was flopping in the ratings. We were freaking out over at Channel 4 because the ratings for our 10 o'clock news were not good because Colbert, nobody was watching. And then he went hard against Trump and people started watching.
Mm-hmm.
So now Texter says Colbert is a political comedian. He came from The Daily Show. Well, yes, but it was different, right? Like when he did the Colbert Report, he was playing a character.
Right.
He was playing a character of like a blowhard conservative anchor. And it's different when you have to like become yourself and decide, like he was just doing more goofy comedy type stuff. Now, late night comedians have always talked about politics. I think today, if Johnny Carson were doing a show today, it wouldn't be that different from what you see any of these guys doing.
Yeah, he certainly couldn't do the show that Johnny Carson was
Right.
famous for doing today.
Yeah.
That wouldn't fly.
You just can't. And another texter points out, like, well, the monologue is very very political, but the rest of the show is pretty typical sort of late night.
I think that's true. And that's
That
kind
is
of my point of saying I don't tune in because I don't want to see the monologue at all. But I do like some of the interviews, so I can catch those in clips the next day.
It's very interesting. And it just is our society today, right? Texters say, I believe I speak for millions of us who remain sane and facing the reality our president is unhinged, obsessed, and senile, and still a wannabe dictator. Colbert is going nowhere, thank God. I think a lot of people feel that way, and you can find validation in the Colbert Report or in the Colbert monologue. I think the problem from a programming standpoint is Jimmy Kimmel that different from Stephen Colbert? Any joke you hear from Colbert, would it feel crazy if Jimmy Kimmel did the same joke? And I think not. It's pretty similar kind of, and some of it's funny. Some of it gets to be piling on, but whatever. Now you're sort of nitpicking on the bit. Back when you used to not have all of these shows. You just had Carson.
Yeah.
And for a while you had Pat Sajak. Now, the Pat Sajak show was a very different experience from
much, yeah.
The Tonight Show. And then you had Letterman. Otherwise, you were watching Nightline, and CBS had nothing. Now you have talk shows doing topical comedy every day. Maybe it's too much. Maybe we don't. CBS used to not do this. The Late Show has been on the air for a long time. But remember when it was a big deal? When CBS used to play like, they used to have like these sort of racy, like cop dramas that were like ripped off from USA Network or something.
Yeah, the fact that they went into the business with Letterman was an enormous deal. And the fact that they're now the first ones jumping back out of it is also an enormous deal.
Jay Leno said he didn't talk about politics because he didn't want to piss off half the people. I would say that if Jay Leno did the Jay Leno aw shucks kind of jokes that he did back in the day, no one would watch.
I don't think it would play.
It's just different. I'm not saying it's better. I'm just saying it's different. And so you got to react to what reality is. It's 5:47. Be a great night to go to the Minneapolis Club. Go have dinner on the patio. Yes, anybody. I know I'm a member, but anybody can go to dinner in the bar at Charlie's. And I tell you what, if you're looking to mix up the routine or maybe think about a gift for Father's Day, would that be fun? Bring Dad down to Charlie's. Minneapolis Club, right up the street from us. Check them out.
Is fueled by Luther Kia of Bloomington. Always online at lutherkiaofbloomington.com.
Dependable in extreme conditions. Field tested across the state since 1924. One resource has helped Minnesotans navigate it all. News Talk 830 WCCO.
My parents talk about how CCO got them through the tornadoes of 65, and they certainly helped me in the blizzard of 91.
Reliable in temperatures both above and below zero.
CCO has been part of my morning routine longer than my coffee maker, and that thing never quits.
Battery life? over 100 years and counting.
These guys help me emotionally prepare for another Minnesota sports season. That's survival.
All-weather performance, Midwest tough, no assembly required. Minnesota's unofficial survival guide. News Talk 830 WCCO.
You know that Big Bargain detergent jug is 80% water, right? It doesn't clean as well.
80% water? I thought I was getting a better deal because it's so big.
If you want a better clean, Tide Pods are only 12% water. The rest is pure, concentrated cleaning ingredients.
Oh, let me make an announcement.
Attention shoppers, if you want a real deal, try Tide Pods.
Stop paying for watered-down detergents. Pay for clean. If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Pods. Water content based on the leading bargain liquid detergent.
Life can feel overwhelming, but you don't have to go through it alone. On my podcast, From the Heart with Rachel Brayton, I share openly and vulnerably about everything life brings us and what we can learn by living with our hearts a little bit more open. Every Friday, a new episode brings you a new story with topics on self-care, motherhood, healing, and more. You are enough, just the way you are. And this podcast is a reminder of that. Follow and listen to From the Heart with Rachel Brayton wherever you get your podcasts.
Hungry? Go to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan for real Texas barbecue. All meats smoked fresh in-house daily. You can dine in, take out, have it delivered, or have your event catered anywhere in the metro. Just go to Dickeys.com. Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, the Twin Cities catering leader. Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
Going to find a crash working on 35W southbound, the area of 42nd Street. Look for left two lanes to be shut down. Stop go stuff in place as you come down from downtown Minneapolis and I-94. 36 westbound, the St. Croix River Bridge. The westbound lanes are currently closed because of an incident there on the bridge deck itself. It's closed off back at Wisconsin 35. Eastbound, expect a Gawker delay as you come in from I-95, Highway 95 rather. Jerry Peterson, News Talk 8 WCCO.
Now, the latest conditions and the outlook for the next few days with your CCO forecast.
All right, now it's forecast time. Let's go. Thanks to Dickey's Barbecue Pit of Egan, Twin Cities catering leader at Dickeys.com. Tonight, 48 is the low. Tomorrow, Alyssa's birthday. Big birthday tomorrow. Tomorrow, the low will be celebrating the number of years she's been around, 50. The high is 65. Please do not confuse those two numbers. She will kill you. Saturday, high of 70. Sunday, 80. Monday, 85. Right now, it's 65 on CCO.
Your daily detour into sharper conversation. Drive Time with DeRusha on News Talk 830 WCCO.
Minneapolis City Council today passed a 6-month moratorium on data centers. Is there anything that people hate more than data centers right now? Look, you're not going to catch me I like zigging when everybody else zags. But I'm not going to turn this show into like DeRusha's defense of data centers. But when everyone is against something that seems relatively necessary to the way we live our life today, it does give me a little bit of pause to say, why are we so certain that this is so terrible? Data centers in Minneapolis, I think the Minneapolis City Council decision here to do a 6-month moratorium, they were thinking about a year. They exempted downtown data centers under 350,000 square feet. So they are still leaving open the possibility for data centers that are smallish, which are the sort of things that are going in downtown. You're probably not hearing about a 1 million square foot data center in downtown Minneapolis. So, all right. I think that 6 months feels like a relatively short moratorium too. I just would like more information. I feel like I don't know enough to be as pissed off about data centers as so many people seem to be. It's easy to say no, right? The easier thing is to say like, no, we don't want it. But we're a state that needs some growth, needs some construction jobs, needs some jobs. Parts of our state have plants that have closed and really nothing cooking in rural Minnesota in some areas. So if you can open a data center that uses the same amount of water as like a regular manufacturing plant would use, is that so bad?
Or a regular office building that's been sitting empty for months and months and months. That's the part of it where you say Minnesota needs some of the stuff, and I think that's true, but I think Minneapolis especially is starving in downtown for things to fill up some of these buildings and ways to use these buildings that are different than the way we used to use them, because it's not going back to the way we used to use them, right? We know that. The opposition to data centers, for me especially, there was a huge red flag when you had a bunch of these towns out there signing NDAs with companies that wanted to build data centers. When you're trying to do that sort of construction in the dark, that to me is a big, big problem. And so a lot of my defenses went up when you saw those kinds of stories coming out. That doesn't mean that I think data centers are ultimately all evil and they should never be built anywhere. I don't know enough to be able to say that. I think there are problems and there are legitimate questions to be answered. And I got to be honest, I'm kind of flabbergasted that the Minneapolis City Council is as level-headed about it as they've been in terms of the carve-outs that you mentioned and making it on a 6-month instead of a year. This should be studied. The impact of what they would be to bring sizable data centers to downtown Minneapolis should be looked at and studied, and there should be testimony, and it should be all very, very public in terms of the explanation about whether this is a good idea for downtown Minneapolis or not. But it should be considered. I mean, all options should be considered in downtown right now because you're in such big trouble with all of these empty buildings.
The Sleep Number building that sold and actually sold at a decent amount, the Sleep Number headquarters, sold for $235 million in January, 8 times its assessed value. And the reason is because it houses a data center. That data center is 180,000 square feet. So, I think this makes sense. But I do think we have to be open to learning more and also understanding that, look, I don't love the idea of like a big energy sucking, water using facility that generates like 3 jobs. I mean, how many ongoing jobs are there? Not that many.
No,
it doesn't thrill me. And these things are going to get built. And why not here? If they're going to go somewhere, to me, I think we need to be thoughtful about it. I think the city council is being thoughtful about it.
And I would love to hear more information. We were talking to a U of M professor today that we couldn't work it out, but maybe next week we can have him on. Because I do think there needs to be more education in terms of when you talk about the water consumption and the energy consumption and potential pollution, do we really have a handle on what these actually are causing?
Right.
Because I'm all for sounding the alarm if they're actually an issue, but I haven't, all I've heard is a lot of people screaming that these are really bad and horrible things. And I haven't seen a whole lot of data that necessarily says one way or the other.
Well, and the technology is changing quite a bit. So like
rapidly.
3M, for example, and Ecolab are both working on water solutions. So trying to make it, the goal is that one of these mega large scale data centers that you see in greater Minnesota would use the same amount of water that a car wash would use. And you say well,
yeah,
all right. Like, that's all right.
Who was the guy ran for president, wanted to do universal income, was an independent guy. I'm blanking on his name, but I saw
Andrew.
Yang, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I saw a video from him that he was at a AI conference, and from what he was talking to people there and what he saw there, he said in the next 6 months of advancements in AI are going to be far superior to what the last 10 years have been in terms of advancements in AI. So at that point, those data centers are going to be that much more necessary to support that advancement.
All of that computing. Yeah. I just, we can't just mortgage our water and our environment for essentially no jobs, for construction jobs in the building. You are getting property tax revenues. You want to support your schools in greater Minnesota, it's an option. I just think right now everybody's at just sort of freak out level about this. And when everyone is against it, either everyone is right, but it always makes me think, why is everybody so convinced about something that they certainly don't know that much about at this level?
Maybe there's a bit of an overreaction going on.
Yeah. Not that I'm standing up for Big data. But I do love data. What's wrong?
Nothing. I'm just checking the time on the clock, and our board is off. So.
Oh, all right. Dan looked troubled. It's because we have to say goodbye. We're always sad to wrap this up. Continental Diamond time check is 5:58. Time to think about a graduation gift. How about a luxury timepiece, pre-owned, beautiful selection, all price points at Continental Diamond. Henry's next.
You know that feeling